The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Primo on the face-off wins it back to Lindstrom. The shot scores! A few times. Here's Coffey across the other side. There's a loose puck. They score! Head west about 4.5 hours by car on the I-94, and remember to take the Madison exit. You can come on into the United Center, the sparkling new arena in Chicago, Illinois, setting for Game 3 of the Western Conference Final between the Wings and the Hawks. Good evening, welcome to Molson Hockey Night in Canada and the Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC. I'm Ron McLean. Thank you very much. As you know, that beautiful brick building across the street is gone. No more Barton, Oregon. But this is quite a facility. 216 super suites, 21,500 seats. There's 800 televisions in here alone. Our ratings would be great if the folks here would watch. But the big question is, with the Blackhawks 0-2 in the series, how much will the venue and the viewers within mean to their chances of getting back into it? Two big storylines throughout the series, the status of Gary Suter and Steve Yzerman. Gary, of course, out with a right hand injury, broken bones in his, well, what would be his ring finger, we're at his left hand, and his baby finger. He's been outfitted with several playing casts, none of which made him overly happy. They did it again today, got him a new cast. This morning he tried it out. He looked very upset in the warm-up, but tonight looked quite good, and we were all wondering, would he be in, would he be out? The verdict is in. Suter will play. Keith Carney out, Gary Suter is in. What about Steve Yzerman? He was so excited to come to Chicago, he forgot to bring his luggage, left it in the trunk of his car at Detroit. Yesterday he was on the ice for the first time, stretching. He skated a little bit, about 15 minutes, tried to participate in the drills, but did not feel comfortable. Today, he skated again, skated a lot with Mark Howe. Not well enough to participate yet. He says something just doesn't feel quite right. So no Steve Yzerman for the Detroit Red Wings tonight. Now the other intriguing matchup, Jeremy Roenick has been involved with Keith Primo throughout the course of this series. 25-year-old JR against the 23-year-old Primo. We've showed you a lot of isolation of these two fellas. Boy, they're just cranking it up now. Don Cherry, we're going to run a couple of clips of Primo and Roenick saying they enjoy the battle, but it's too good in here so far.
Yes, I'll tell you, Sutter's got to say, now look, here's the way it works. They beat us in their building by the skin of their teeth. 2 OT games, I call them. If that's the best they can do, we got them in our building. Let's go at them and get them. And I know he said that in the dressing room before.
Just enjoying this. You know, the first 10 minutes at your Boston Garden when you were coaching the Bruins, and this Chicago Stadium, here's the reception for the Red Wings. Do you expect that the Blackhawks can open it up to generate more offense, or if they do, will they be burned by the many potent offensive stars the Wings have?
No, you cannot go and just keep the game close. You cannot do that. That's what they were doing. They were in every game. but in your own building, you don't want to keep it close. You want to go out and get them. I don't care how good Detroit are. Open up a little bit and get them. Just don't keep it close to the last minute. That's not the way to play the game.
You're a defenseman when you played, and you've come off injuries. How's Gary Suter going to play tonight?
Well, I don't know how he's going to play. I saw him the last couple of days shooting. He looks like he's all right. I didn't see any bones. That's what they say. He's got all summer. He can recoup all summer. Get out there and get going. Him with one arm is better than some guys with two.
May take some pressure off Chris Chelios, too, because they've been trying to focus on Chelios without his mate. I mentioned Roenick, and Primo's been a big challenge, a 6'4", 220-pounder attached to the Blackhawks, number 27. We asked him, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's a great challenge. I think, he's a very big man with good skills. I'm giving up a little bit of weight to him, but I mean that's a good test for somebody physically. He's a big boy, and he's got some big skates. He likes to lug up and down the ice. It's good to get in front of him and play physical against him. And everybody thinks that I can't handle, but I have a lot of confidence in myself. I think I can.
We understood coming into the series that with the absence of Steve Yzerman that somebody's going to have to step up every night, and we were hoping it was going to be somebody different to help contribute to a victory, and that's all that we've tried to accomplish so far.
There's Keith Primo, and a theme I know that's been acknowledged by Dick Irvin and John Garrett, who are in the broadcast booth. Gentlemen.
We kind of waited for that instant cheer on that you got when you came on camera. Not quite for the boys in the booth. 2 games is enough in a series for the fans to sit around and start commenting on who's hot and who's not. And from a Chicago standpoint, a couple of key players with roles to play haven't done too much.
And their role, Don Cherry talked about opening the game up. If the Hawks open the game up, their role players, their offensive role players have to come through, and they haven't. Bernie Nichols and Murray Craven, their production has been zilch in this series, and they haven't even been getting any chances. They have to create some chances and shoot the puck.
They're introducing the Red Wings, sir. They're not booing you, Cheech. Scotty Bowman was quick to point out to me yesterday, hey, you guys missed a key point in Sunday's game. The winning goal was scored by the player who was replacing Steve Yzerman. He thought that was pretty good, but that's the kind of the guys who've come through for Detroit so far, rather than the so-called bigger names.
They're such a team with depth. They are role players. Chris Draper played very well. Doug Brown has been outstanding, killing penalties and in a checking role. And then you look down the rest of the lineup. Darren McCarty's been good. Mike Ramsey's been good. And all the role players have done their job.
Okay, so they are going to be introducing the Blackhawk players now. So let's go to the public address announcer, Harvey Wittenberg.
Number 2, Eric Weinrich. Number 5, Steve Smith. Number 6, Gerald Diddick. Number 7, Chris Chelios. Number 8, Cam Russell. Number 10, Tony Amonte. Number 11, Jeff Shantz. Number 12, Brent Sutter. Number 15, Jim Cummins. Number 17, Joe Murphy. Number 18, Dennis Savard. Number 20, Gary Suter. Number 27, Jeremy Roenick. Number 32, Murray Craven. Number 33, Dirk Graham. Number 44, Patrick Poulin. Number 55, Eric Daze. And number 92, Bernie Nichols. And now, ladies and gentlemen, would you all please rise and join soloist David Honoré and Frank Pellico at the organ in singing our national anthem.
to celebrate themselves. They'll drop the puck to celebrate the Stanley Cup playoffs. Detroit and Chicago next.
Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth.
Welcome back live to the United Center in Chicago. Darren, we've seen a lot of great goaltending in this series.
Yeah, Mike Vernon gets the nod again. Had a close call in the final seconds of Game 2. Eddie Belfour again in the pipes for the Blackhawks.
Your referee tonight is Don Koharski. The linesmen are Pat Tapuzzo and Ray Scampaniello. Belfour and Vernon are ready. Hope you're ready, too, as we are underway now with game number 3, the Western Conference Finals. And Gary Suter, who was held out until the last minute before it was decided he would play, is the first Blackhawk to touch the puck in his own end. And here comes Barry Craven skating to center. Craven dumps one in on Vernon. Vernon leaves it for Slava Fetisov, the former New Jersey Devil. Red Wings try and clear it, can't do so. Now it's skated out to center. On top of it is Slava Kozlov, intercepted by the Blackhawk captain Dirk Graham. Here's Chris Chelios at center, almost a beautiful pass through traffic to Savard. Savard delivering a body check in the Detroit end, and the fans here at the United Center love that.
Yeah, he gave Fetisov a good shot from behind. Fetisov laid down there. Don Koharski said, hey, get her up there, fellas. Too early in the game for this stuff.
Steve Smith at center ice. Here's Tony Amati. A lot of speed on left wing. They want to try and utilize that speed to the Blackhawks, but Amati has the puck taken away, and here comes Ray Shepard the other way. Shepard is double teamed, and Steve Smith is on it for Chicago. Primo in the corner. Gerald Dinnick ties him up momentarily. In front, Shepard with a backhander on Belfour. Shepard whacks at it again from a bad angle. Primo in the corner. Shepard. Some of the best hands in the NHL. And he's bodied off the puck nicely by Steve Smith. Tony Amati. He's hooked from behind. Puck is loose at center. And now it's dumped back into the Chicago end.
You've seen the matchup. Jeremy Roenick going against the much bigger Keith Primo. And there's going to be a heck of a lot of head-on collisions between those two players in this game, as there was in Game 2.
Puck loose at center. Chris Chelios is on it for the Blackhawks. He absorbs a hit from McCarty. Vernon behind his own net. Sean Burr tied up by big Eric Danze. Lidstrom. Dino Cicerelli. Weinrich pitching in to keep the play on in the Detroit end. Here's Brent Sutter. He's tied up by Coffey. Hanson Lidstrom. Behind the net, Danze pokes it back into the corner. Chicago putting some pressure on, but no good scoring chances yet. Finally whistles it up to the blue line, but it doesn't hit anything, so icing will be the call on Detroit as Chris Chelios touches up 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the game 3.
Well, as I said, another one of these great heated battles. It has been a terrific series so far, and in Game 2 especially. You saw Daryl Sutter matching up Jeremy Roenick against Primo. Whoa, man, missed him by a foot and a half anyway. Tried to get it at Keith Primo behind the net. And Jeremy Roenick, who's given up roughly 30 pounds, actually, to Keith Primo, insists before this game started, he says, I'll go head-to-head with him. Anybody that thinks I can't, I'm going to prove them wrong in this one. But Jeremy Roenick's 170, thrown out the window and add 20 to that. He's 190 pounds, and he feels that Keith Primo's right around 215 to 218. So it's not as much as what there's been made up about it. So look for Jeremy Roenick to go head-on with Keith Primo throughout this contest.
Took 2.5 minutes of the first period for our first stoppage of play. And they're back at it again as the puck comes loose to center. Going back was Eric Weinrich protecting his own blue line. Bats it into the Detroit zone for Vernon. Vernon leaves it for Fetisov. McCarty on the right wing board. Exclusive coverage tonight on ESPN of the Stanley Cup playoff game 3. Detroit and Chicago with the Red Wings in control 2 games tonight. Ernie Nichols really in a scoring slump. Hasn't scored in 29 games for Chicago. Has 11 points in the playoffs, but they're all assists. No goals in 29 games. Here's Coffey behind his own net. Bob Airy, the former San Jose Shark, is double teamed, but gets it to Coffey. Paul Coffey given license to motor to center. Takes the pass from McCarty. Coffey gets a shot on Belfour. He makes the first big save of the night. 16:32 left in the first. No score from Chicago.
Gary Suter is in the lineup tonight, somewhat of a surprise to everybody. I talked to him this morning, and he's still got a problem with that hand. Keep an eye out for situations where he has only one hand on the stick. After all, the cast is on that top hand. It creates a problem. He'll be playing with two hands on the stick as much as possible, guys.
All right, Brian, of course, for the uninitiated, Gary Suter playing with two broken bones in his right wrist, but he is playing his first action of this series as the Red Wings try and control it in the slot. Slava Kozlov takes it away from Dirk Graham. Graham takes it off his stick. Better off back to Kozlov in the corner. Kozlov deep in for Doug Brown. Kozlov trying to get it back to Brown. Comes out to Coffey. Little wrist shot. Oh, that's just wide of the glove side. As Belfort didn't see it to the last moment. Chelios goes to the backhand to clear it to center, then takes a tumble. And a whistle, and Don Koharski has his first infraction of the night, a tripping penalty. Going to be called to Chicago's Chris Chelios.
In the neutral zone, too. Chelios getting hauled off. Chelios trying to follow up the play a little bit. Show some aggressiveness with a little backhander play. Now he comes through the neutral zone. Doug Brown's on him trying to ride him off. That's not really a trip, really, because the stick's in the midsection, and he just pulled him down with the midsection. So right off the hop now, Detroit gets the call, and rightfully so. Daryl Sutter not happy about that one. And the Detroit Red Wings so far, 16 power play goals so far, scoring at 30.8% efficiency rating. And of course, Chelios is a big part of the penalty killing unit for the Blackhawks, who have killed off 84.5% of the power plays against them.
There you see Daryl Sutter behind the bench of the Chicago Blackhawks. His team lost the very first two games of the first round in this building to Toronto. Came back to win 4 of the next 5 to win the series. Swept out Vancouver, but now Chicago's back behind the 8 ball, trailing 2 games to none. The difference, though, they're coming home for the next 2 where they've won their last 4 too. The Red Wings' powerful power play has been dulled a bit in the first 2 games, posting on a 1-7 ratio. We'll see if they can get some business done now. Lidstrom and Coffey at the point. Lidstrom hits traffic in front. They keep Primo on with Ciccarelli and Shepherd. Round out the Red Wing power play unit. Primo back to the point to Lidstrom. Winds it around the boards for Shepherd. Ciccarelli. Eric Weinrich tries to break up the play. Oh, Weinrich being a real pest out there. And Dirk Graham finally gathers in and dumps it down the ice.
Good proficiency by Weinrich jumping on the Red Wings. Each one of those players has great skill, so the minute the puck's on their tape, you have to make sure that you jump at them right away. These players have enough patience to hang on to the puck, but nothing doing so far.
Sergei Fedorov cruises into the zone, but Gary Suter is there in the slot to backhand at the center.
Ryan said we'll have to keep our eye on that hand of Gary Suter. So far, he hasn't let go of the shaft of the stick with that top hand, and I don't imagine he'll do so.
This time it's Suter on the forehand, batting it down behind the net. The tandem of Suter and Chelios, with Chelios in the box, but even strength so strong for the Chicago Blackhawks. They really missed Suter in the first 2 games. Gerald Dinnick, and not a sniff for Detroit on this power play so far. 30 seconds to go. The tripling penalty to Chelios. Short-handed. Here's Sutter, and good work by Brent Sutter. Draws a penalty on Detroit. In the corner to the right of Vernon, a hooking call. And this will make it 4-on-4 for the next 23 seconds.
Darren McCarty going off for the Detroit Red Wings. 2 minutes for the hook. And that, of course, evens it up. But you're right, good forecheck-in by Brent Sutter, who's really been terrific in this series so far. Winning key face-offs while killing penalties. That's when he's going to take the majority of his face-offs when the Blackhawks are short-handed. McCarty going down the left side, trying to get something going back in their own zone, and then lean back as he was falling and hooked up Sutter. You see Koharski at the left side of your screen. He was right there and didn't hesitate on making the call. One thing that happened in Game 2 was the officiating really didn't take over in the early parts of that game. The flow was established in the early going, and I think if you ask the majority of the players, they would appreciate that and keep the game going. But so far, it's been evened up.
So for the next 23 seconds, we'll have 4-on-4 hockey, and then the Blackhawks will have a truncated power play opportunity. Here's Konstantinov. Vladimir Konstantinov as the Wings win the faceoff. Konstantinov skates over the red line. Let's pull it in on Belfort. Throw line. Konstantinov takes a hard hit from Steve Smith in the corner. That's the mission of number 5 for Chicago. Jeremy Roenick. Up to Joe Murphy. In 1 second, Chelios is down, and now Chicago's on the power play. Gerald Dinnick dumps it into the corner. Roenick absorbs a hard hit from Sean Burr. Steve Smith tried to get it to Dinnick in the slot. Just couldn't do it. Ends up on the stick of Belfour. Tony Amati. Cross-ice pass for Smith. Chicago taking some time, getting organized in their own end. Amati takes a big hit from Konstantinov at center ice, and it breaks up the rush.
Good read by Konstantinov. He saw all along that Monty was going to take that pass, and his head was going to have to be down at some point. He jumped in there, didn't hesitate, and eliminated the play.
Under a minute to go in the Chicago power play as Vernon is out of his net. And that's the story with the end of the game, too. Here's Primo in the slot. Short-handed takes a shot, and it goes wide of the glove side. Dennis Savard at center with a patented Blackhawk rush. But this time he's met at the blue line, and Detroit just breaks the play up.
In the first series against Toronto, Denny Savard was able to gain the neutral zone with some speed and select the blue line, but you see the Detroit Red Wings doing an excellent job of covering the blue line and not allowing him to get in.
Savard again tries to split the defense. He does so, but he's bodied off the puck. Patrick Kulak gathers it in for Chelios. A score! One thing the Blackhawks wanted to do, felt they had to do, was take an early lead, and they've done it on a power play goal.
A result of Savard gaining the blue line, as he didn't do on the first try. He gets through on the second try. And the most basic, simple thing of a power play, getting it to the point and a shot on goal. Watch the left side of your screen. Denny Savard with a simple little redirection. He was going towards Vernon, then he went backwards. Now Savard, after he fights off Fedorov, goes right to the front of the net. Now the puck's at Chelios. Watch him turn, spin, and a little wee redirection. Low to the stick side, and that gives the Blackhawks a 1-0 lead. And Denny Savard, one of the players we talked about, had no shot on goal and no point entering this game here so far in the playoff series.
Well, you can cast aside a couple of those donuts as Scotty Bowman has a wry smile on his face, calling Koharski over for a conference. We won't attempt to speculate what Coach Bowman is saying to the referee, but for the record, a power play goal by Savard from Chelios and Patrick Kulak at 7:23. So Chicago trailing the series 2-0 does what they did in the first 2 games, and that is get a lead. Detroit has only had the lead in this series for 1 minute and 45 seconds, yet they lead the series 2-0, which proves that they are more than capable of coming back with all the firepower they have. And a whistle by linesman Pat Capuzzo stops play. It is 1-0 Chicago.
Denny Savard has given the Blackhawks a 1-0 lead on the power play. Watch 18 go to the front of the net. Now this little wee turn, and he redirects simply on the forehand. That is a nifty little redirection that goes through Mike Vernon following that. And Denny Savard giving the Blackhawks a 1-0 lead with that power play tally at 7:23.
And our exclusive coverage tonight on ESPN of the Western Conference Finals continues from United Center in Chicago. Welcome aboard. I'm Tom Meades along with Darren Fanning and Brian Engblom on the sold-out United Center in Chicago. Blackhawks, a desperate hockey team tonight, take a 1-0 lead, but look out for those powerful Red Wings. Keith Primo has it taken off his stick by Brent Sutter. Sent to center. Brown tips it ahead to center. Sean Burr regathers. Slava Fetisov off the boards to Cicerelli. Gets the room, takes the shot, and Belfour down to close those pillows and make the save on Cicerelli.
Shot by Cicerelli, good save by Belfour. Now before that, you watch right here. This leg's going to go out this way, and what Savard's going to do is redirect it right through Mike Vernon. It changed up the entire shot. Goaltender reacts to the right. Now what are you going to do? You got to spread the legs with the stick out on the right side of the body for Vernon. Denny Savard, that old goal-scoring touch right there, and his fourth goal goes through the legs. It's a tough play for a forward to time that right and make sure that redirection still gets on net and time yourself going in front of the net. So he's trying to cause, 1, a screen on Mike Vernon, and 2, that redirection or getting a rebound, and it's a basic play. Back to the point, shot on goal.
Fedorov and Roenick face off in the Chicago end. Ends up in the corner for Chelios off the board. Tony Amati hits it ahead, intercepted at the blue line, and Chelios has to go back for it. Amati at center, cross ice to Gary Suter. Suter dumps in, Vernon. For Detroit over to Kozlov, but not out of the zone. Up hit there by Amati. Finally, the Red Wings clear it to center. Suter dumps in behind the net over the stick of Vernon. Tony Amati pitching in. Amati trying to control it. Going to do a backhand wraparound. Right off his stick. Keinzloff in the slot. Almost gives it away. Trying to control it on the backhand. And finally gets it out to center. Harry Suter on the stick of Roenick. Pass to Tony Amati. Roenick. Murphy's shot is high and wide to the stick side. Roenick appeared to intercept the pass that was meant for Murphy. Still set up an empty play. Chris Chelios looking for Murray Craven off his stick. Over the glass into the crowd with 10:38 yet to play here in the first period.
Denny Savard has that early 1-0 lead. Now, for Denny Savard, I said a little while ago, the only thing that's changed in Denny Savard since he left Chicago was the blade of his stick. He's changed it somewhat. The blade on the left side, the white one, that's the old Denny Savard model of 1987-88. Look at the difference in the width of the two blades. Obviously, the one in the back is the one he's using right now, game stick. The length is also different. The width is different. You see, in the older days, Denny Savard was a spinorama-type player, all individual, making the play at the blue line. The game has changed since that point, and he was able to do that with the old blade. Now he's changed it up, keeping the puck in deep and making the simpler plays. And on that little redirection, he got that big, fat, black blade on there and was able to score.
And you see how many playoff goals Savard has for the Blackhawks. You may say, who's ahead of him? Well, Stan Mikita is 2 ahead of him. And, of course, Bobby Hull, the all-time leader in playoff goals for the Chicago Blackhawks. Two pretty fair players, Mikita and Hull, and both of them have their numbers retired here in the United Center. Puck in behind the Detroit goal. Konstantinov, he has trouble controlling it as Craven is on him. The last couple of shifts have treated that puck like a hot potato at times in their own end. Konstantinov goes to the backhand to try and get it out. Does so to center. Chris Draper, the hero of game number 2, ahead to Ramsey. Ramsey chips it behind the net. McCarty, he'll try and center. Loose puck in front of Belfort. He has to cover up. And bodies bump into each other in front of the goal. Bob Airy on his stomach trying to get that one past Belfort. And Koharski has whistled a penalty. I believe it's on Darren McCarty of Detroit.
You are right, and if I'm not mistaken, looks like he turned around and popped Denny Savard right in the mouth, right at the crease level. So Savard getting involved early, but it looks like he got that big right leather mitt and just smoked him right in front of the net. Now, we're seeing something that must frustrate coaches, and that the referees are dictating early, but here's a shot, whoa, right in the middle of the square middle of the jaw. McCarty just hammered him. And again, the position of where the referee is on that particular play. There are so many times when you're going to get away with that kind of stuff, but when the referee is right there. One thing that happened in Game 1 that disappointed the coaching staff, certainly Barry Smith on the right and Scotty Bowman on the left, was that the Detroit Red Wings took a lot of penalties in the offensive zone, and it cut away the flow of course, their great offensive pattern. Seeing that, that's a penalty that really slows them down again, already trailing 1-0 in this game.
So many times you hear players use that old cliche come playoff time, we can't lose our focus. There was an example of Darren McCarty just losing his focus. There was no need to do that. Let's see if the Red Wings will be hurt by his decision. Here's Gary Suter. Hook checked away by Rouse at the blue line. You've got Suter and Chelios on the back line. Nichols, all with Craven and Kulak rounding out the power play unit, and a penalty called here against the Blackhawks. This will even it up. Patrick Kulak on a hook.
Well, now we've seen one. I mean, McCarty's penalty earlier on besides that roughing call, and then the other call by Chelios, and now Patrick Coulin's going off, and boy, it really takes a whole heck of a lot away from the pace that these two teams have set throughout the course of the first 2 games of this series. Poulin, Rouse was already down before Poulin ever got to him. It evens it up. You know,
I get the feeling you beg to differ with Mr. Koharski in that whistle.
I mean, he was already going down when the play was called, and it's going to go around. Now what's happened is it sets the tone in the early going, so it's frustrating for the coach, it's frustrating for the players. You don't know exactly what you're going to get out there. You don't know exactly what you can get away with or what you can't get away with.
Well, Don Koharski is famous for keeping control of a hockey game, and maybe he sees something down there on the ice that he doesn't want to boil over, and he's going to call it tight early. That could be what he's thinking, but in that regard, we are speculating. 4-on-4 hockey for the next minute and 25 seconds. That we know for sure. lot of open ice out there now. 1-0 Chicago. Chelios at center. Dumps into the corner to the right of Vernon and gives chase, and Primo buries Chelios, but he did it high into the glass. Here's Shepard. Shepard with Coffey at center. Lidstrom's the trailer. Coffey into the corner. Gets it out front. Shepard couldn't get a stick on it. Weinrich had him tied up. Squibbles loose to center, and here's Dirk Graham, or is it Craven? It's Graham. Fakes the shot. Chelios, and a save by Vernon. What a save by Mike Vernon. Chelios cruising down the slot on a perfect setup from Graham, and now it's Primo the other way, and Belfour goes down to make the save.
Oh, man.
You like goaltending. You just saw two great examples in the last 20 seconds.
Action and terrific goaltending. Dirk Graham down the right side, fakes the slap shot, tries to get the defenseman and goaltender to commit, passes right on the tape to the right-handed Chelios, but what a great save with the right pad of Mike Vernon to keep this a 1-0 Blackhawk game.
It is still 4-on-4 for the next 33 seconds, and then Detroit will have the extra man. There's Slava Kozlov, bodied hard into the glass by Charles Ditter. Jeremy Roenick in the corner. Tries to clear the zone, can't do it. Taken away nicely there by Fetisov. Taken back by Steve Smith. Leaves it for Joe Murphy. In 10 seconds, McCarty will be out of the penalty box for Detroit. Loose at center, Konstantinov, the only one there. And now the Red Wings have the man advantage. It's Fedorov in the corner, tied up by Diddick. Still gets a shot away on Belfour. The rebound is lying there with nobody around, and Murphy says, I think I'll clear this thing. Clears it to center for Savard. Savard gets around, one man shoots, saved by Vernon. Another right pad saved by Vernon. Here's Coffey. Fedorov. Cicerelli on the power play to Troy. Cicerelli in the corner. 3 seconds, pullout will come out of the box. And now the man advantage is no more for the Red Wings. And here's a breakaway for Craven. He's in. And he stands on it. He stands on it, allowing Vernon to stop it.
Good hooking play by Nicholas Lidstrom. Just got the blade of his stick on the handle of Murray Craven.
Savard, he's double teamed. Patrick Kulak kicks it loose, but only Coffey is there to clear it. Boy, Mike Vernon has held Detroit in this one. Savard in the corner. Off the backhand. Picked up by Cicerelli. Patrick Kulak sends it in front. Savard trying to deflect, can't do it. Physical play picking up behind the Red Wing net, and finally Koharski whistles it for a faceoff with 6:49 to go in the first period.
Remarkable chance by the Blackhawks at the blue line. Paul Coffey had a one-on-two sort of situation, and Murray Craven went in all alone. The fans here in the United Center have been standing for some time now, and Craven in all alone. Watch the terrific little hook there. Looks like he just got the end of his hand. Right here, Craven going in, right? Oh, yeah, on the right side of his body, which is his top hand. Nicholas Lidstrom made one last-gasp effort just to hook it, and Murray Craven sort of overstepped the puck, and Vernon still had to make a pretty good save right there. Murray Craven enters this game with 0 shots, 0 points in this series anyway for the Chicago Blackhawks, even though he has 5 goals and 2 helpers in the playoffs.
5 shots on goal for the Chicago Blackhawks in this game. None of them has been routine, and Mike Vernon has been super, and Ed Belfour has also been called on for a couple of big saves in the Blackhawk net. Now Scampanello and Jeff Shantz having words here over the alignment on the faceoff. And Shantz is chased out, and Sutter will take the draw. Comes loose to Weinrich at the right point. Winds up, hits traffic in front. Brent Sutter winds up with it behind the net. Hits it in front. Vernon doesn't know where it is, and is told to cover up by Rouse. As Draper and Brent Sutter say, how do you do behind the net?
That nearly snuck in on the short side. Vernon went from post to post, and lo and behold, that puck was right at his feet. He did realize that at the end. Before that, a pretty good shot block by Bob Airy. But you know what started this little mess up at center ice for the Detroit Red Wings, and something that really caught the ire of the coaching staff, was Patrick Coolin came right out of the penalty box and dumped Coffey, and that allowed Craven to go in all alone. And Craven, of course, mishandled that puck because of the good play by Lidstrom. But Patrick Poulin, timing is everything. Sneak out of that penalty box and make a play happen.
6:39 to go in the first period of our exclusive coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight on ESPN. Game 3, Western Finals. Cam Russell with a shot. Hit traffic in front. Chicago Blackhawks lead it 1-0. They trail the series 2-0. McCarty just buries Cam Russell into the boards. But Darren McCarty is a hard hitter. Chris Draper, McCarty and Brett Sutter. McCarty's helmet comes off. McCarty is not a pretty hockey player, but he's pretty darn effective when he's playing his game. Four-man scrum, coming away with it. Weinrich of Chicago. Brett Sutter at center, dumps into the zone. Vernon with Daze, and Mike Vernon beats him to it. Here's Jim's chance, a shot, and a save by Vernon, and he covers up as he just plucks it out of the air, and Koharski is having words with some Red Wings to the left of Vernon.
Bob Airy was looking for a call on Eric Daze, the rookie, and Bob Airy looked like he went over and gave Daze a shot, and there's going to be another power play coming up. On the right side of your screen, Daze takes a good hit right there. Then the initial shot, what a terrific save by Mike Vernon with the right side. And there was a little slash by Daze. And Daze, after this shot by Shantz, watch the stick of Daze right here. Whoop! Came a little whack. And that's when Bob Airy went in there and did a little talking to of course, the rookie. And that's a pretty good whack that Daze gave Mike Vernon. And hey, any goaltender's going to get sour about that. Vernon knew it was going in his glove. A player doesn't see that all the way, wants to give him a shot, and look what's happening. Now Bob Airy off for slashing.
He'll sit at 14 minutes and 8 seconds. The Blackhawks' one goal came on the power play earlier this evening from Dennis Savard at 7 minutes and 23 seconds, and the Red Wings penalty killing unit having a little conference. Slashing is the official call on Airy.
Blackhawks 1 for 2 with the man advantage. Only one shot on goal, and there was a power play goal by Denny Savard. Clearly, this has taken a lot of the even strength play away from the Red Wings. They've set themselves in a hole. Third power play for Chicago.
Primo and Joe Murphy vie for the faceoff. Comes out to Gary Suter. Will he shoot? He's got that bad right wrist, remember. Tried to pass that time, and the Red Wings get it out to center. You got to wonder, Suter has that booming slap shot usually from the point. With his wrist, is he going to take any chances at all? And the Red Wings probably know that, too, and can play accordingly. Here's Chelios down low. Bothered by Mike Ramsey. Ramsey bothered by Jeremy Roenick and Sean Burr. Buries one of the Blackhawks. Here's Murphy with a shot, and again, Mike Vernon is there at the top of the crease.
Great save by Vernon again, and as he looked sharp in the early going, but on that play, Sean Burr just hammered Chris Chelios. As they're fighting for possession, 9 gives Chelios the lumber while he's facing the board, and that's one of the plays that has been called with regularity. Chelios was real slow getting up there. It's a very, very dangerous play. It depends. Chelios at that point, his side is there, and then he's turning and facing the board, so you don't expect the guy to smoke you into it, and he got hit hard. Sean Burr got away with something on that particular play. But a great save by Vernon. Boy, he looked sharp.
He has been superlative. Mike Vernon. We saw him sharp against San Jose when he had hardly any action at all. He's already faced 7 shots in the first period. He has been just as sharp. We've seen a lot of action tonight. Here's Sergei Fedorov as the Red Wing penalty killing unit escapes into the Chicago end, and an offside by linesman Pat Capuzzo stops the play.
Sergei Fedorov, of course, during the regular season, there were times of frustration for Fedorov, and of course, it took a few dinners with the veterans like Paul Coffey and Steve Eisman, settle him down, saying, hey, this system's going well. Don't worry about so many things offensively. Don't worry about that. You're a great defensive player, and we're all playing the same system. In round 2, that's where it really took off against San Jose. It was a more wide-open series, and he got to roam in a big, bad way. He was flying. He was great. He said that was his best playoff series that he has had.
He hasn't been allowed to roam so far this series, and he's sticking to the system. Takes it away from Chelios, who does the roaming into the Blackhawk end now, but he's double teamed. Pula helps to break the play up. Fedorov at center, has it poked checked away by to once again regroup at center. Fedorov takes him out of the play. And away with it is Draper. Draper's all by himself on the Chicago end. Suter hooks him to the board. Draper just wants to get a face-off in the Chicago end here with the Hawks clear it. 15 seconds left on the slashing penalty to Erie. Diddick at center for Chicago, but nobody in the Detroit zone. A powerless power play for the Blackhawks here. Eric Daze skates in finally on left wing. Tries to center to chance. The penalty is over. Teams at 5 aside. Center back to Diddick. Diddick takes the shot in traffic in front, and Primo sends Draper away at center.
Blocked by Fetisov. Took it right high in the chest.
Primo, one-on-one with Steve Smith. Sends it in with one hand, and a shot by Arian Belfour, the 6th save. How strong is Keith Primo? Not many players can have Steve Smith draped all over them and still make a one-handed centering pass. And a penalty is called by Koharski for holding. With 3:22 left to go in the first period, 1-0 Chicago.
If the Detroit Red Wings were flying, Keith Primo down the left side, size and strength going up against Steve Smith. One hand, perfect pass, right on the tape to Bob Airy, and a good save by Belfour. Here's Airy busting towards the net, never gave up on the play. Then he got a second hand on the stick. It looked like he may not have done so with Sutter all over him. And then just after that, Steve Smith, well, they had to haul down Primo somehow, and Smith took him down. And the Detroit Red Wings will now go on their third power play of the game, 0 for 2 with 0 shots on goal.
And the power play unit taking the face-off in the Chicago end will have Shepard, Primo, and Cicerelli with Coffey and Lidstrom at the point. Keith Primo, so big, so talented. I think this year could be considered a breakout year for that young man. Wins the face-off back to Coffey. Down low to Lidstrom. Lidstrom sends it through the crease. Belfour on his knees. Made sure it was off to his right. Chelios tries to get there to gain control. He does, but he's surrounded by Red Wings. And Primo takes a hard hit from Bernie Nichols, of all people, in the corner. Nichols not known for the physical end of the game. Lidstrom sends it in front. Chelios gathers in, and the Blackhawks Nichols clears it.
Oh, my goodness. Ray Shepard. Oh, my goodness. Shepard was hit hard, and he needs some help.
Shepard got up once, but couldn't get up a second time. Did that happen in the corner while that hit from Nichols, or did it happen behind the play?
Boy, I just watched him try to get from right around the goal crease and continued on through the face-off circle. Looked like he, to me, and because of his reaction, like he would have taken a blow to the head. Shepard tried to take,
right
man,
there.
did he ever take a shot? Left side of your screen, he was bowled over. If I'm not mistaken, that's Dirk Graham, number 33, the captain. Oh, he hit him high and hard. My goodness. That was a hard hit, and it's no wonder. Ray Shepard, he just couldn't get her back together. That's a serious blow to the head in a serious situation. And one in which the Blackhawks got away with on that particular play. Well, we barely snuck in on the left side of the screen. It was hard to tell when it first happened, but Dirk Graham really got Ray Shepard with a hard blow.
And, of course, the Red Wings are surrounding Koharski, wanting to know why there was no penalty called. I think the reason might be because he just didn't see it.
Didn't see it. It was behind the play, and Shepard had already released the puck. He was trying to handle that shot from Paul Coffey. Paul Coffey had just fired that shot from the blue line, and now he's having some words with Chris Chelios, and they're going head-to-head. Paul Coffey, he has become involved, and in this series, of course, he knows that it's going to be a physical series, and certainly Chris Chelios is better known for the physical stuff, but Paul Coffey has also gotten himself involved in this series. Two pretty proud competitors going at it verbally anyway. There's John Wharton, the trainer for the Detroit Red Wings, talking with Ray Shepard.
Not only do the Detroit Red Wings not get the penalty they wanted, the faceoff is back in the Detroit end. Fedorov will take it with Brett Sutter, so the Blackhawks get away with one there. They still have to kill off 1 minute 18 seconds, though, the penalty to Steve Smith. Here's Lidstrom in the corner. Up to Sergei Fedorov. 1-0 Chicago. Slavik Kozlov tries to split it. No, he'll back pass to Cicerelli, and Belfour read that play, and Cicerelli and Weinrich say how do you do to the left of Belfour. Nobody likes the rugged going more than number 22 for the Red Wings.
Cicerelli was just driving right for the net and got bounced out of the way by Eric Weinrich, Tommy.
Time now to take a look at some league leaders for you. On exclusive Stanley Cup coverage tonight, the White Ice League leaders, the plus-minus rating. Slava Kozlov and Brown. Doug Brown of Detroit, 1-2, along with Fedorov. Dennis Savard of Chicago right there. Those are the plus-minus ratings in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Cicerelli at the top of the circle. Good little wrist shot. Belfour had it and then covered it up. But not after Dino Cicerelli took a good shot from Eric Weinrich. Don't go near the goalie is what he's saying. What? You got Chelios, you got Weinrich right there, and then Weinrich saying, how do you do to the goal cam?
And to the goal post, he just got his hands in front of him. Eric Weinrich has been called upon to play a lot more for the injury to Gary Suter.
Well, he certainly has, without question. That's a big void to fill, but don't forget, Eric Weinrich has been a pretty good competitor in the National Hockey League since coming in with the New Jersey Devils.
In the corner is Craven. Cicerelli looked at Koharski. I think he was trying to ask for another penalty. Didn't get the call. Puck loose to the right of Belfour. Into the crease area, and Belfour covers up, and now sticks and tempers rise again.
Oh, this war is heated up here again. The sticks are high right around the net. Each team trying to crash the other team's goaltender, looking for the garbage, looking for the loose puck. None better than Dino Cicerelli. When there's a loose puck around there, he never gives up on a play. But if you're the defending team, you're going to have to take him out of there. Cicerelli just never stops moving. There's some interference right there. Completely eliminated Cicerelli from getting from that loose puck. Then he continues on right around the net and then sniffed out some garbage right in front of Eddie Belfour. Took a pretty good shot from Weinrich.
A typical Detroit-Chicago hockey game. Look at the hits. These two teams simply don't know any other way to play it when they meet each other. And this is the 14th time in Stanley Cup history that these two original six have met.
And a good series, a real good series. The kind of series that you look for when you see a couple of original six teams going at it that play this style of hockey. They're both very similar in that respect.
Primo and Bernie Nichols on the face-off. Still 45 seconds left on the Chicago penalty to Steve Smith. Detroit tries to tie it up. Coffey, Primo into the slot, off the stick of Weinrich. Flies loose in the slot area, and Chicago sweeps it aside, but not out. Cicerelli and Weinrich meet again in the corner, and Weinrich takes him down and takes his helmet off. And Bernie Nichols can't clear it. Coffey pass for Lidstrom. Lidstrom misses the mark, comes behind and after the helmetless Cicerelli. Primo bothered from behind by Chelios. 10 seconds on the Smith penalty. Lidstrom takes the shot, saves, score, and the rebound. It's Primo, and we're tied at 1.
Power play goal for the Red Wings, and oh, do they move that puck around great. D to D, solid motion, everybody's moving. Distractions in front of the net, shot, save, and then the rebound, and Keith Primo is right there to bag home his fourth goal of the postseason. Puck moving right across Coffey. Lidstrom, one-timer. Good save by Belfour, but there's Primo unmolested to the left side of Eddie Belfour. And this shot just gets through, and look at the open area that Primo has to fire that in past Eddie Belfour. Chelios was already focused on the other player moving in front. Keith Primo's fourth goal of postseason play, and that one really was an easy one for him. He just moved right into the perfect play. But again, it stems from that great puck movement at the point. Coffey to Lidstrom and the one-timer.
Well, for the third time in the series, the Blackhawks come out and get the first goal. For the third time in the series, Detroit comes back to tie it up, and it's a real killer because it happens inside the last 2 minutes of the first period. Puck still in the Chicago end. Ed Belfour took a heavy body check when he went out recently to play the puck and seemed to limp back to his crease. Final minute to play in the first period. Diddick. Diddick center is Denny Savard. Gets away back into the zone to Smith.
I think Detroit weathers the storm here at the United Center. Just as the game plan goes, he's got to weather the first 10 or 12 minutes. And they have done so. Battled through some kind of short-handed situations and then score a key late goal.
Cicerelli, Fetisov, his shot hits the leg of Murray Craven, goes to the corner. Chicago is on it. 28 seconds left to go in the period. A big hit by Konstantinov on Roder.
Several times this period, Konstantinov has moved up at the right time, right play, and hammered one of the Blackhawks.
And a whistle by Koharski with 15.6 seconds to go. A cross-check has been called. And he has yet to signal the offending player. Coming up on our first intermission, Mike Milbury and Barry Melrose will have an analysis of this first period, a look at the Legion of Gloom all of a sudden in Philadelphia. And in other sports news, how about Andre Agassi, ousted from the French Open today?
First, Jeremy Roenick with, he just took a great hit by Konstantinov, and then maybe a little frustration. Fetisov's going to move into the play. Jeremy Roenick comes through, right across center ice, and gives Fetisov a cross-check from behind, enabling the Detroit Red Wings to go on the power play with just over 15 seconds remaining. Now, one of the things to keep in mind for the Blackhawks is they have been notoriously bad at giving up goals late in a period at critical times. No further than Game 2. They gave up a goal by Dino Ciccarelli with, a minute and a half left in the first period to tie the game at 1, and then they gave up Draper's goal with a minute and 45 left in the contest. And this one comes at 18:31 by Detroit. Off the tape of Keith Primo, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They do have a habit, the Blackhawks do. And we talked about losing focus earlier in the game. That time, Roenick, who has not been a factor in the first period, lost his focus. Took a bad penalty, and this will bleed over into the second period. As the horn sounds here at the United Center, shots on goal in the period, 8 for Detroit and 7 for the Chicago Blackhawks. And after one period of a game that Chicago has to win to make this a series, Detroit is pulled even at 1-1. Let's join now John Saunders, Mike Milbury, and Barry Melrose. Gentlemen.
All right, Tom and Darren, thanks a lot. And guys, overall, a pretty good period for the Chicago Blackhawks, although some dumb penalties late.
I'm real happy with the effort. If I'm Darryl Sutter, I'm going to tell him I'm real happy with your effort. But, boys, smarten up. No hooking, no holding penalties. We got to stay out of the box because these guys are real tough on the power play.
Okay, if I'm Scotty Bowman, I'm very happy with the last 4 minutes we took.
Isn't that nice?
That's a lovely tie.
Yes.
Little story. It's, of course, from Michigan University.
Is it?
I said it was from Ann Arbor, and you thought it was from Al Arbor, and there you are with it. Look,
Go blue, that's why I bought it. Listen, we got a little thing now from Chris Chelios, a little snippet of your...
clip-on.
A clip-on, a little snippet of your experts this time. You had a hockey player, right?
Yes, Chris Chelios.
Chris Chelios, now, remember what I said, all right, about Europeans? Watch what he says. Go ahead, run it.
You know, I hate to beat a dead horse, and I think Don's going to love me when I say this, but I think when they brought the Europeans over, they bring the Europeans over for a reason. They wanted to change the game, the style of the game, more finesse, take out the way hockey was played and should be played, a North American style of hockey.
How much you pay him to say that?
Anyhow, Coach of the Year, Defenseman of the Year, and so that's what we think of them, and that's what they really think of them. Now, let's talk about Vernon.
You'll see Chris Chelios, incidentally, in the second intermission on Meet the Press on after 40 minutes. Yes, what about Mike Vernon? What a finish to the game.
By the way, did you know that Mike Vernon doesn't have a contract and Scotty doesn't have a contract? Imagine if they go all the way, what they're going to get. Imagine Scotty doesn't have a contract.
It's like Martin Brodeur, though. This is the way to play it.
Is that the way to play it?
Yeah, don't sign now. You could get more money if you continue to
How come
excel.
Scotty, though? Why wouldn't he sign him?
I don't understand if he doesn't have one as a coach, but you got to think if they didn't win, they might go for a different coach. Director of player personnel, automatic.
Are you saying they're going to fire Scotty?
No, I'm just saying he himself might not have wanted to continue as head coach if it didn't work out.
All right, here we
got another job.
All right, quit blithering. All right, now we have that thing here. What we got there, you guys have all told me that you want to see it again. Vernon going, I got a little story to tell you after this. Even the best make mistakes. Watch him leave the net with about 10 seconds to go. Could have been a tie game. Go ahead, run that one.
Doesn't really leave the net. He
leaves the net.
Out.
Watch what I tell you. When you can't see it too good. Watch this here. It goes up the end. You'll see him go to grab his glove. Now watch this. He goes to grab his glove. In the next one, you'll see him go to grab his glove. That was where it was shot from. Watch the next one. I'm telling you, he went to leave the net. The next one come up. You see him going out. Look at him throw his glove. I used to throw my gum like that all the time.
You didn't see the game the other night, by the way. It would have counted if it goes in.
All right, now watch this. Now watch him start leaving and start tugging at his glove. And he hits the post and he's leaving. He's going, I better get back there. Now, I got to tell you a story about Gilly Gilbert. We're in Vancouver. What is this? We on now or what?
Yeah.
All right. Now, we're in Vancouver. Gilly Gilbert with 10 seconds to go. He leaves the net, takes his mask off, and they fire one in for the tire. So believe me, it happens. I had a few things to say to Gilly about that.
What did Scotty say?
Can't say anything. All you do is look at him. What are you, dummy, doing something like that? I mean, that is not concentration. Anyhow, I don't want to knock Mikey because
heads into it tonight.
Oh, he's better to go in tonight.
Okay, and what about the game last night? What did you think? New Jersey, unbelievable. 5-2 win in Philadelphia.
Well, I'm not knocking Lemaire. I'm not knocking Robinson. I'm not knocking Danico. If this guy in town still would be all right. All right? He's talking back to the camera. Last time
we had a lot of trouble. You like that atrium at the broadcast
center? Let's go back to the atrium. Anyhow, I'm not knocking all those guys. I'm not knocking Stevens. You know what I think of the guys. You know what I think of everybody. But we cannot keep having hockey like this. I heard Barry Melrose last night. I heard Mike Milbury, and I got to agree with them on that other station we won't talk about. We cannot have guys with a good team like that. We didn't mind it was the Sharks, Anaheim. We didn't mind when it was Panthers and that, playing that trap. By the way, the trap is always just two guys back, one in. That's the whole thing of the trap. This kills them, hockey boy.
I loved watching New Jersey. Hey, listen, we only got about 40 seconds, though. You want to do 40 seconds? Yeah, you want to tell the story about Jeremy Roenick?
Jeremy Roenick's got a broken toe. You don't know that, eh? He told us he got it frozen underneath and on top. I had a broken toe one time with Eddie Shore. He put it in boiling water, like this, in the pail, took it out, put it in the ice water, put it back. I said, Eddie, I'm all set. Don't worry about it. I'm going to play the next game. Not only that, Brian Kilray, my buddy, the same year, he had broken ribs. He put him in a whirlpool with the broken ribs, and he fainted and almost drowned.
That's why they have painkillers. Brian Kilray. Get it? Yes. And Mike Vernon's heads into it. We can see that tonight because you want an okay noggin.
Oh, I love Mikey tonight. He's going tonight. By the way, it'll get better. There won't be as many fights. There won't be many penalties in the second, and in the third there'll be none. Co-host doing his thing.
I got a pun here. You want an okay noggin, you go to Vernon. Coach's Corner on the Stanley Cup playoff coverage on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. BC here. 1989 was the year the Calgary Flames finally moved from contender to champion. For years, they'd played in the shadow of Edmonton. But in '89, they strode forward to win hockey's ultimate prize, led by all-star defender Al McInnes. He became the fourth defenseman to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. He led the playoffs in scoring with 31 points, and he amassed a 17-game scoring streak. He was known for his tremendous shot. He was named playoff MVP. Stanley Cup at the end of a period of play, the shots 8-7 in the opener in favor of Detroit. Dave Lewis, Dave, your thoughts on that first period?
Well, I think it's everything we thought it would be. They came out flying, hitting. I think Mike Vernon made some outstanding saves to keep us close. The power plays, we took some, I think, unusual type penalties, but we got back into the game with a big goal by Keith Primo, and it's a hockey game again, and we're pretty excited about that.
Primo and Savard, the goal scorers. Second period action next at the United Center on Molson Hockey Night in Canada.
Lightning and some rain at one point this afternoon. It's warm and muggy here in Chicago. On this, the 6th of June, D-Day, will it be Detroit night in the new building, United Center. 2 goals, both on power plays in the first period. Denny Savard, his 4th of the playoffs at 7:23, redirecting a Chris Chelios point shot, and Keith Primo off the rebound in close from the Lidstrom shot at 18:31. And it's 1-1 at the end of 1.
Denny Savard, pass from Poulin to Chelios. Savard, perfect positioning, no chance for Mike Vernon. Poulin, a good job along the boards. And Detroit, good job along the boards again. Dino Cicerelli goes to the front of the net. Primo goes to the front of the net. He's right there for the rebound, up and over Ed Belfour.
Best 2 power play units during the regular season have exchanged power play goals, and Detroit will start the second period with Jeremy Roenick still in the box for a minute 44.
Chris, the Blackhawks didn't have many scoring chances in those first 2 games. You keep better stats on this than I do, but Scotty Bowman told me yesterday we outchanced them 17-8. He said we've got to start scoring some more goals. But the Hawks had more chances in that. There are as many chances almost in that first period alone here tonight.
Well, the Hawks say they had 7 chances in Game 1. Scotty Bowman says they had 8 in Game 2. They had 7 prime scoring chances in the first period alone. Here's a chance for Primo right in. And all 4 out to challenge makes the stop on Detroit's goal scorer, Keith Primo.
Primo, you can see him whispering the words, "Get it up." The shot from Primo, Chris, you talked about it, on Ed Belfour. He goes down. He's a butterfly goaltender. Primo looks. Belfour is down, but the shot right into the midsection of Ed Belfour.
Roenick in the penalty box for the cross-check in 1944, so Detroit's on the power play.
And Fedorov to take this draw against Sutter. Back to the point, Lidstrom and Coffey. Primo in behind the net is Cicerelli. Back it comes to Coffey. Coffey directing it at the net off Chelios, and Sutter clears it down the ice. Primo losing it at center. Going into this game, half the shots on goal by the Red Wings in the series came off the sticks of their defensemen, of course, led by Coffey. Nichols with a steal. And he'll clear it right back out to center with under a minute now left. Long shot on Vernon. Gives us a chance. Did you ever get caught leaving the net?
I got caught looking at the clock and thinking the time was going to expire, so I was going to be cute and let it go in and have the clock expire and then have the argument. Harry Neal was my coach at the time. He didn't appreciate it.
Fedorov. Now with a half minute left in the man advantage, back to Coffey. Lidstrom one-timer. That was walked in front by Steve Smith. The Hawks will skate out. Nichols to Craven on the left wing, trying to get around Lidstrom. Down the corner, he'll kill a little more time. Finally comes free, and Joe Murphy right back on it for Chicago. Nice work here by the Blackhawks to keep it down in the Detroit zone. Coffey outlets. And here's McCarty to Fedorov. Last rush with the man advantage. The shot goes high. Roenick back on the ice now. As McCarty clears it back in behind the Chicago goal. Crashing in there's area gate. Chelios and a hit by McCarty on Amonte as the puck comes out to center. McCarty backhanding it in. Bouncing puck, and Belfour plays it over to Chelios. Out at center, too far for Amonte. Vernon pushing it ahead. There's Cicerelli, rink wide. Draper on the near side, taken off the puck by Brent Sutter. Fetisov is bumped by the big guy, Daze. And now Brent Sutter moving in. Here's Sutter all the way. And Vernon stood his ground as Sutter went crashing into the goal. And a slashing penalty coming up against Detroit.
Chris Draper was stripped of the puck by Brent Sutter, and he came back, slashed at Sutter, takes the penalty. Brent Sutter tried to crash himself and the puck through Mike Vernon. Fetisov loses it. Brent Sutter's there. Draper's there. Sutter turns Draper around, and the slash happened there. Sutter goes in, drives to the net, tries to drive the puck through Vernon. Vernon, good concentration. Makes the save.
Well, that position now for the Blackhawks, we often mention you kill a penalty, you have a good penalty-killing situation for yourself, and then right after that, you get a power play chance. So we'll see what happens here.
And so far tonight, both Chicago and Detroit 1 for 3 with the man advantage. Bernie Nichols will take the face-off. Denny Savard, Patrick Poulin, Gary Suter, Chris Chelios. And it's Poulin behind the net. Left it there for Nichols. Trying to get it back to Suter, but Primo's going to skate out with Sean Burr. Here's Big Keith Primo moving in, and the check by Chelios. Chelios works it out to Denny Savard to the line. Savard, the goal scorer, dropping it back to Suter. Here's the first shot. It's on. Rebound. Nichols scores! Bernie Nichols ends his drought with his first of the playoffs.
First goal for Nichols in 29 games.
Bernie Nichols, goal scorer's goal. Even after 29 games, Nichols pulls it back, takes a look, and snaps it up and over Mike Vernon. Had that been along the ice, Vernon would have had it. Nichols pulls it back and gets it up and over the fallen goaltender. Konstantinov had Nichols in the corner and let him go to the front of the net. Nichols pulls it back, snaps it up and over Mike Vernon.
In his 100th Stanley Cup playoff game, he has his 100th point. But now The drought's over after 29 games dating back to March 31st. Bernie Nichols doesn't have to field any more questions about his inability to score goals. Suter gets an assist with Denny Savard, second point of the night. There's a high shot. Whipping around the glass and back out to center. So another power play goal. 3:02 the time of the goal. And Chicago regains the lead. Dirk Graham in. Here's a high shot. Caroming back out to center. Suter may not have had a lot on that shot, John, but he got it on the net.
And got it by the first man who was out high. Key for any defenseman on the power play.
Here's Amonte on the move. Pass glove down by Konstantinov. Amonte had his glove on Konstantinov. Dirk Graham wrap around, and Vernon sprawled across to make the save. Second shy of the 4-minute mark. And they're standing at the United Center.
Baseball may have the neon man, but they've got the neon man and the neon boy. Family time here at the United Center.
Looked like Rush Street last night. Face off in the Detroit zone. Roenick against Primo.
Kick him out!
And Primo got his stick on it and pulled it back for Coffey. Sean Burr ahead to Primo. Diddick hanging on to him, and Steve Smith comes across and puts it back out to center. And behind the play, the net knocked ajar as Smith and Primo were jostling.
Bernie Nichols, black tape, black stick to hide the puck. Goes by Mike Ramsey. Vernon in desperation gets the arm down and the arm up. Nichols snapped it up and over Vernon.
Well, they turned off the neon lights on us just as we came back. But this is what was going on during the break. The father dancing and the little guy blinking at the lights.
Okay, here's what you're going to wear to the hockey game tonight, son.
Behind the goal from Lidstrom out in front with Murphy watching, and he just gets rid of it to center ice. 2-1 Chicago. Coffey offside. Scotty Bowman's big concern when asked today, as you can see, the Wings have dominated their opposition in every period so far, but he was concerned today that a situation like last night, New Jersey, Philadelphia, might arise. Don't give up a bunch of goals and have to play catch-up against Chicago.
The Wings against San Jose setting the tone in the first period with commanding leads. Dave Lewis talked about Mike Vernon, how he played in the first period, outstanding saves and not much chance on either goal. Matter of fact, good saves on the first one.
Out at center, there's Nichols. Patrick Kulak following up, chopping at it. Ramsey, it's Cribbins going right in. Got a shot on goal, and the 215s go to the boards. Gross takes his man down. Puck comes free, back at the point. Russell's shot was blocked by McCarty. Russell after it, diving to keep it in the zone. But they rule a hand pass, and that slows play down.
A lot of the Hawks giving it that cliched second effort here tonight, John. They're showing a lot more zip, and right now showing a little bit of gimp is McCarty of the Red Wings after blocking the shot.
Here McCarty gets square on Cam Russell, goes out, sacrifices the ankles to block the shot, takes it on the laces, and you can see from his face a very vulnerable spot.
He blocked it whether he wanted to or not, I think of that. Easy for us to laugh up here.
.505 gone, second period. It's a 2-1 Chicago lead, and all three goals have been scored on the power play tonight as Steve Smith drills his man, but Draper with a shot from a bad angle. Check that, Tim Taylor with the shot, and Eddie Balfour with the save.
Cummins and Primo have words. Another one that looked like it might have been offside, Dick, as Steve Smith steps up, hits Konstantinov. Very close to being offside. Taylor with the chance, bad angle, Belfour square. He's been very aggressive. He's cut down the angles very well, as he usually does. and makes the easy block on Tim Taylor.
I asked Steve yesterday about the difference to this series and the Vancouver series. And now we've got Konstantinov hurt.
Somebody went by Konstantinov on the way to the Chicago bench, and Konstantinov dropped the gloves and stick as if he'd been slashed.
Steve Smith adding to the physical aspect of this game with that hit we just saw a moment ago. Said the big difference was in the physical play between meeting the Canucks and meeting the Red Wings. Said he was surprised at Vancouver playing the way they did, considering how they played last year, he said, getting to the finals from the standpoint of a physical hockey game.
Scotty Bowman is talking to Vlad Konstantinov along with Dave Lewis. What happened? It was so far away from the play. And the trainer talking to Konstantinov. He looks like he's going to be all right.
He was just standing at the point, and Chicago players were drifting by him on the way to the bench. Stu Grimson with a rare shift right now. Denny Savard getting set for this face-off against Primo. Grimson on the left wing, Tim Taylor on the right side for Primo, who wins the draw but pulled it back past Coffey. Back in the Detroit zone. Craven, Graham are the line mates for Denny Savard on this shift. And here's Taylor. Steve Smith got a piece, but Taylor breaking in. Across, Grimson scores! Stu Grimson on his first shift of the series has tied it.
Steve Smith made the all-or-nothing try on Tim Taylor for the check. Diddick falls down. Steve Smith on Taylor. Misses him. Taylor goes right by. It's a 2-on-1. Diddick tries to get back. Can't. Grimson's there for the easy tap-in. Perfect pass from Taylor to Stu Grimson.
Now, you talked about Bernie Nichols, a goal scorer's goal. Is this a goal scorer's touch?
No. It goes through Ed Belfour. It's a tap-in from close range. Stu's crew, remembering Stu from his Chicago days, happy to get back into the lineup, and unlike Stu Grimson, scores a goal.
Yeah, that smile tells the story. First ever Stanley Cup playoff goal for Stu Grimson. Taylor and Primo get the assist. Primo has a couple of points. Here's a bouncing puck in front. Cleared back into the corner. 5:32 the time of the tying goal, so the Blackhawks leads haven't lasted very long. Daze now moving in. Eric Daze taking off the puck, and Fedorov out on the right side to Doug Brown. Back to Fedorov. A 3-on-2 rush with Coffey cruising two. Here's Coffey in front. And Brown just failed to redirect it. The Hawks will break back. It's a 2-on-1. Sutter with Daze, and Sutter had to turn it back. And so much for that rush. Kozlov picking it up. And he'll move out to center. Rattles it around the glass. Detroit making a change, and Chelios flipping it out. 6:40 gone, second period. Jeremy Roenick ahead to Murphy. And another penalty coming up as Murphy was jostling with Ramsey. And here comes the call. It's a high stick, and it's going against Joe Murphy of Chicago.
Dick, we were talking to Brian Engblom about Scotty Bowman when Brian played for Scotty with the Montreal Canadiens and their Stanley Cup teams, and the uncanny knack that he had for putting certain players on at certain times, and he could never figure out why, and yet that always proved to be very successful. Here's Stu Grimson. He's dressed for his toughness. Hasn't been that tough a game. He's out there, scores a goal. High stick by Murphy. I don't know why he was complaining about that when he hooked Mike Ramsey around the neck. Grimson just goes to the net, tips it, directs it in the direction of the net, and it goes through Ed Belfour.
That's a goal scorer's touch. What are you talking about? That's a Steve Shutt special right there. Speaking of Scotty in the old days. Brian Engblom, former NHL defenseman, one of the best shot blockers of his days, certainly. Now working in the broadcasting business and here on the American television network side. That's the color commentary for radio for the LA Kings.
And not a goaltender. Dick, why is he doing color?
Don't be upset.
Well, now the Red Wings trying to regroup in their own zone and set up this power play. Fedosov's out there. Pass too far for Airy. And Chelios will clear it back in the Detroit zone. And the Red Wings having trouble. Craven puts it back in. And here comes Konstantinov. To the line, dropped for Airy. Bob Airy around the boards from the far side. Ciccarelli well covered. Brent Sutter watched by Primo. And it's cleared to the line, and Craven up with it. Will send it the rest of the way. A 2-2 tie with 12-12 to go, second period. And Detroit with the man advantage. Fedorov rings the board. Ciccarelli awaiting with Kozlov cruising around in front. Now along the boards, they get it to the point. Coffey to Lidstrom. Here's Nicholas Lidstrom back across, and the one-timer by Kozlov was blocked. Coffey again. Fires it. Loose in front. Belfour down. Watch Kozlov. Great stop there to keep it tied at 2. Coffey keeps it in. Watched by Sutter. Under a half minute left as Lidstrom fires. Belfour down, and Dirk Graham up with the rebound. And Graham does get it by Lidstrom down the ice.
Big stop ahead Belfour, John.
Kozlov wide open. Belfour, great athleticism to get across. He's one of the best skating goalies in the league, and use that skating ability to get across.
Here's Coffey to Fedorov. Moving it back across. McCarty with a hard wrist shot right on Belfour, and now Murphy back out. He takes the pass. Here's Murphy on the breakaway. Out of the penalty box, and Bernie again. Robbing Joe Murphy on the breakaway. Pass goes behind McCarty and Weinrich. Up ahead, Craven was cruising there at center, and now he'll head to the Chicago bench. Stu Grimson, the man who's given Detroit their second goal. McCarty now with the shot right on, and the rebound picked up by Nichols. Bernie Nichols, long pass. There's Murphy again. He's onside. Hooks the shot on Vernon. Roche chopping at it. Patrick Poulin along the boards. Almost got loose for Chicago, and now it's cleared. And we've had more outman situations, I think, in this second period, John, than in the first 2 games of the series combined.
And it makes for a lot more entertaining hockey, I'll tell you. What we've been seeing.
Blackhawk defense taking some chances, trying to create some offense.
10 minutes gone, second period. Diddick will come back and get the icing call.
Chicago Blackhawks get a breakaway. Joe Murphy out of the penalty box. Vernon was banging his stick. Vernon out, takes the shot away, and finally Joe Murphy decides to shoot. Good patience by Mike Vernon. There's Scotty.
Now for something a little bit different. An isolation of the coach. Concerned, save is made. Okay, Mike, way to go.
Shaking his head that Murphy had the breakaway, and nice little nod. How to go, Mike.
Shots even at 14 apiece. They're even on the scoreboard. A 2-2 tie. Here's Steve Smith with a shot through traffic wide of the goal, and Vernon down with Daze pushed on top.
I assume there are some baseball fans here in this crowd of 20-some-odd thousand in this building. The news is fairly decent on the scoreboard for the hockey game. It's 2-2, but if they look up on another scoreboard here, it shows that the Chicago Cubs are trailing the Atlanta Braves 15-2 in the 6th inning of the baseball game. So the Hawks are number 1 tonight.
Playoff record, they lost those 2 games against the Toronto Maple Leafs in round 1 and have gone undefeated since at the United Center.
Daryl Sutter was asked about line matching. Would he take advantage of having home ice to do some different matching? And he said, I want the best players in the series to decide it. And it's been a much more freewheeling game here. Here's Primo wheeling in, shot on Belfour. Ciccarelli knocked down in front as he went after the rebound, and breaking back is Daze. Big Eric Daze taken to the glass by Konstantinov. Around the boards it comes. Primo waits for it, takes a hit from Diddick, and Ciccarelli at center. Passing it across. John Burr and Diddick. Fencing there, and Primo directed it. Cummins comes up with it around the boards, and Daze. And on his clear out, chance for Coffey. The shot gloved down by Belfour. And he passes it on the right side to Cummins out at center. play whistle down on a high stick.
9:02 left in the second period. 2-2 here. The beat continues tomorrow night as the scene in the Eastern Final switches to the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And how about those New Jersey Devils? Up 2-0 on the Philadelphia Flyers. Game 3 tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Hockey Night in Canada. And then we will be back here at the United Center Thursday night for the fourth game of this Western Final, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Time.
Well, the Red Wings have been on a roll, winning 10 and 11, and 7 in a row. I want to know who our goaltending consultant thinks will start for the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow night.
I think they better come back with Ron Hextall or Terry Murray, and Ron Hextall could have a meeting, a one-on-one meeting in the coaches' room. I don't think I'd want to be there for that.
Pile up in the corner. McCarty working for it. It comes to Draper on this near side. There's McCarty trying to chop at it, hit the side of the net, and a penalty coming up as McCarty goes after it in the far corner against Suter. Vernon out of the net, but play whistle down, and Chicago is going to be a man short again as Don Koharski makes the call. Red Wings going on the power play when we come back.
Gary Suter for high sticking on Bob Airy, and it was a retaliation. Airy with the elbow catches Suter in the chin, and Suter comes back, cross-check across the neck, and it's a high sticking penalty for Gary Suter.
Let's mention on our promotion for the game Thursday night, the Ontario elections will be shown in the province of Ontario, so we ask that you check your local cable listings for the availability of the Blackhawks and the Red Wings in your area.
Here's Coffey at the point, and that off a stick sailing into the luxury boxes.
Paul Coffey shaking his head. We saw Gary Suter get his shot by the first man. That time Coffey could not get his shot by the first man. Up and over the glass. What a game he had game 2, and especially the first period. 6 shots on goal in the first period, and elevated everybody's play on the Red Wings.
I always remember one night, John, I was in the bus with the Montreal Canadiens after a game in Pittsburgh when Paul was playing for the Penguins, and Patrick Roy turned to speak to nobody in particular as we were leaving, and he said, Paul Coffey must be the best skater in the NHL. It was just wonderment in his voice.
Here's Coffey again with the shot. That hits Cicerelli in front. Coffey with 15 points in the playoffs. 10 have come on the power play. And the Red Wings with the man advantage here. Lidstrom, his shot. Belfour the save. Steve Smith and Dirk Graham with the rebound. Can't get it out. Lidstrom to Coffey. There's the shot. Kozlov was in front. The Hawks clear it out of play.
Off Dirk Graham. And the faceoff will come back inside the Chicago zone. Ed Belfour, a couple of good saves. The Hawks can't get the puck out. Shot comes through. Belfour makes the save. Steve Smith has it, banks it off Dirk Graham, and it goes up and over the glass. Power play rankings for the Detroit Red Wings, and they have looked good on the power play, moved the puck around well tonight, and Ed Belfour has been the reason they haven't scored more power play goals.
3 of the 4 goals tonight with the man advantage, both by Chicago. Kozlov to Fedorov. Cicerelli parked right in front of Belfour as Coffey. Back to Lidstrom, the shot. Belfour down. They bang away at it, and Nichols came up with it and gets it down the ice. Vernon will play off to Coffey with 1 minute gone in the Suter penalty. Up to Kozlov, scooting across the line, drops it off. Cicerelli surveys and gets it back to the point. Lidstrom to Fedorov, back to Lidstrom. Nichols on him. There's the shot. Belfour down, and the rebound is cleared again by Nichols. 7:11 left in the second period. 33 seconds remaining in the penalty as Taylor has a man in front, and Belfour got a stick across on McCarty. Tim Taylor has set up the tying goal and had a man loose in front. Another penalty coming up against Chicago. Coffey puts it in front, swiped by Chelios, and here comes another call.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Chelios as he was tangled up with somebody right at the goal crease.
And this comes coming about with 15 seconds left in Suter's penalty.
Remember, Ed Belfour is getting the penalty. Chelios doing the arguing. Now Belfour doing some arguing. And John Garrett shaking his head.
I don't blame Ed Belfour for arguing this one. Darren McCarty goes through the top of the crease, and Belfour, the push with the blocker hand, it wasn't the good chop or any of the other goaltenders' tricks. The little push on the shoulder with the blocker, and that's a roughing penalty?
No.
I don't think so. But it was called by Don Koharski. McCarty, there's the push on the shoulder, and it's called roughing.
Well, it comes with 15 seconds left in the first Chicago penalty to Suter. The Hawks, led by Chelios, certainly in Belfour. And still going at it. Dino's not far away.
Gets the needle in.
Yeah, adding his whatever cent's worth.
And early in Ed Belfour's career, that used to be one of the tricks that teams would use against him. Try and get him talking, trying to get him off his game. He's been much better under the tutelage of Vladislav Tretiak. Maintain his concentration, but if anybody could get under your skin, it's Dino Ciccarelli.
And he had been parked where McCarty got the shot earlier in the power play. So here we go, 15 seconds worth of 5-on-3 for Detroit. Sutter wins the draw. But it comes now back to Coffey, Lidstrom on this near side. There's the shot, they score! Primo in front, and the Coffey shot goes in.
And they'll still be short-handed. There were still 5 seconds left in the Suter penalty when the goal makes it 3-2 Detroit.
It was a matter of time for the Detroit power play, chance after chance, and the Hawks just couldn't clear the zone. Primo's in front, the shot comes through. Primo waved at it. I don't know whether he got a piece of it, but it's a big screen. Belfour looks, tries to find it. The shot comes the other side. The goaltender, you look through the guy's legs, you'll pick one side, turn, look. Belfour looked one side, the puck came the other side.
Coffey gets credit. Fifth goal of the playoffs, second on the power play, and now 11 power play points for Paul Coffey, and Detroit has its first lead of the game. Lidstrom with another assist. Fedorov gets his second point of this series. 13:20, the time of the goal. Detroit leading 3-2, trying to lead the series 3-0. And again, Detroit still with the man advantage. Lidstrom down low, puts it in front, and Primo whacked it wide. Lidstrom, couple of assists so far in this game. 5 points in the series. Chelios after it. Now Smith, and it went off Steve Smith right to Belfour, and after a scramble, the Hawks get on it.
The Hawks still arguing with Don Koharski. Keith Primo shaking his head. Perfect pass from Lidstrom, and Primo just couldn't make contact. The hard pass through the crease.
Chelios has not let up. The penalty call was made on Belfour.
Primo looking up. Hacked by Steve Smith. Smith gives him another shot from behind. Primo still maintains position. He's so good at that. He gets hacked a couple times, still stays in position. Pursuit of the puck, strong on the boards. Another shot from Steve Smith.
He's been great again tonight, Keith Primo. A goal, an assist. Didn't factor in that last goal, but provided the screen of Belfour to allow the Coffey shot to go all the way. Coffey across. There's Fedosov's shot. That hit somebody in front. Chelios along the boards with 50 seconds to go in the man advantage. Both teams with 2 power play goals in the game. Craven out at center. Turns back and now turns it into the Detroit zone. Under 5.5 minutes left here in the second period. Ciccarelli with the shoot in. Didick off the boards, fanned on it. Coffey has it. Now Kozlov to Fedorov, putting it in front, and Ciccarelli was knocked down. Fedosov gets it back to Fedorov. Coffey Dumping it in front. Belfour down, and he'll cover.
John, is this the best you've seen the Detroit power play in this series, the way they've performed tonight?
I think so, and they only have 2 power play goals, but they've really moved the puck around well. They've set it up high, Coffey and Lidstrom, and the people have driven to the net. Primo, Cicerelli, Bob Erie on that shift, all going to the net, all getting in front of Ed Belfour. You know, Cicerelli, I was talking to him before the game tonight. It's the midget draft for his junior team this weekend. Mark Hunter and the rest of his coaching staff, that is Dino's coach, getting ready for the midget draft for the OHL.
Jeff Chance on this face-off. And the Hawks get it down the ice. Chance won that cleanly. Now Ramsey turning away from Chance. As the penalty expired, Nichols on the ice. Here's Draper. Into the corner it goes. Hardy takes a hit. He goes down. And Steve Smith feeds it ahead. Craven spun around, and that'll draw a penalty against Detroit. So the pass to the penalty box, well worn here tonight at the United Center.
Bob Rouse, we're holding at 15:24. Another one of those without the tear-away sweater. Murray Craven goes by Rouse. Rouse reaches, grabs the sweater, the pole, and Craven, is that a double axle, Chris? You can help me with the figure skating terms?
No, according to Scotty Bowman, and our reaction at the bench was more of a dive than a skating jump. Fedorov double-teamed along the boards, but he's killing some valuable time on the Chicago power play, and finally the Hawks work it free to the far side. Roenick's got some room. Here's Roenick and Amonte. The shoot in. Joe Murphy got a stick on it. Roenick after it. He's bounced behind the net by Konstantinov, and Gary Suter can't keep it in at the left point. Chelios at center. There's Roenick. Spun around as he tried to cross the line. Konstantinov will clear it back into the Chicago zone. 3:45 left. Second period, 3-2 Detroit. Here's a breakaway pass, Roenick. And he didn't have much momentum. Got caught by Lidstrom. Now Roenick gets the stick up against Primo. Murphy digs it free. Gary Suter the shot, and that didn't miss by much. Roenick crashed into Vernon, and he's going to get a penalty for decking Mike Vernon. 50 seconds left in the Rouse penalty, and we're going to join Ron McLean.
Okay, gentlemen, Steve Yzerman, we saw you skate a couple of times. Steve, how do you feel? What are you waiting to find to be able to get back in?
Well, generally, I'm pretty pleased with I skated yesterday and today, and practice again tomorrow, and just see how I feel Thursday morning, make a decision about Thursday night and Thursday morning.
Super. What do you think of the game tonight?
It's a little too exciting at times. Both goaltenders have been outstanding and have really been, in this game, they've been forced to make the toughest saves, and both of them have been real good. Both power plays look really good as well.
Good luck tonight and in a couple of days, Steve.
Shot by Gary Suter goes wide. Jeremy Roenick, goaltender interference. Primo pushes Roenick. Roenick's in the crease. And Mike Vernon goes down in dramatic fashion and draws the penalty.
Well, I think there are more imitations here, Chris, of Dave Bedard than there are of some of your figure skating, Kurt Browning and others, in this particular sequence of plays, but it evens the sides out. 50 seconds left in the Detroit penalty.
Have to put an ISO camera on Don Cherry, I think, in the studio with the penalties we've seen in this game. Primo working in and was just poke checked at the last second. Primo dangerous every time out. Now Denny Savard with some room. One-on-one against Fedosov. Two veterans. Savard lost control behind the net. And Primo will skate out with it. Under 3 minutes to go, second period. Bob Erie on left wing. Here's Erie looking in front. He hit the side of the net as Fedosov had moved up. Now Gerald Diddick pushing it ahead to Savard. There's 5 seconds left in Detroit's minor, and then they'll have another power play chance. Fedorov waiting for Rouse to return. Now flips it out as Rouse returned to the ice. Fetisov at center. Back to Lidstrom, and now Fedorov clears it in off the blocker of Belfour. Under a minute of penalty time. Fedorov knocked that one down. Kept it in, and now Cicerelli on the right side. He's bounced. Weinrich lost his stick again. Kozlov tries it free. Fedorov at the point. All Coffey. Back it comes. Fedorov in low. Kozlov in front. And Belfour down. Stopped the pass and covers up. 2:01 left in the second.
There's no better place than Canadian Tire for quality and exhaust work guaranteed. Here's proof. We'll beat any competitor's quote by 10%.
After that penalty call against Ed Belfour, you saw Chris Chelios talking very harshly toward Don Koharski. Well, he was a little easier on the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast crew as we sat down with Chris and we chatted about many and varied things, and you'll see that conversation in our second intermission.
Dirk Graham had a chance to get the puck out. Sergei Fedorov accidentally knocked it down, and that created this scoring chance. Kozlov tries to slide it across. Ed Belfour is there to make another good save.
3-2 Detroit. 30 seconds left in a Red Wing power play. They have 2 power play goals tonight. One with a 2-man advantage. Lidstrom and Coffey both with a pair of points, and Coffey with the go-ahead goal. And number 77 goes back to get it. Kozlov sliding into his own net as Primo works it out at center. He's checked, and the Hawks turn it back, and that will do it for the Roenick minor. And Jeremy Roenick's back on the ice. So we've got both teams at full and even strength for a rare time in this second period. Flipping it high in the air, glove down by Smith, lost it, and Primo was just offside as he broke in. Darren McCarty was trapped inside the line.
Got in by Chris Chelios. Chelios made sure that McCarty was dragged in and stayed offside. Dick Denny Savard played a very strong first period, a very emotional first period. Hasn't played nearly as much or nearly as well here in the second, and you were talking about it in game 2. Do you think he's physically tired at this point?
Well, it's been quite a run for him, of course. He is 34 years of age, but, you know, you see the effort that he put in that first period. He was the spark for the Blackhawks in the first period, no question. Notice that the last couple of shifts here in the second period, and he would appear to be rather weary, but I can't say that for sure.
He's not part of the penalty-killing unit, but he does play on some power plays.
Now under a minute to go in this second period. Had a 2-1 lead on Bernie Nichols' power play goal, and here comes Chicago again. Diddick shot goes in the corner, centered. Monty was left uncovered, but it comes back out to center. But since the Nichols goal, 2.5 minutes later, Grimson tied it, and Coffey with a 2-man advantage at 13:20 gave Detroit its first lead of the game. That's where we stand as a Monty. Tried to feed it across to Murphy. Steve Smith sends it into the Detroit zone with under a half minute left. Savard chopping at Bob Rouse, who gets it out to center. Suter to Savard. He's stopped by Ramsey, and McCarty sends it into the Chicago zone. One last change for the two teams. In the dying seconds, Chelios one-handing it out. And Tim Taylor off the boards out to center as the second period comes to a close.
Not much goal, but a lot of excitement with all the penalties called in the second period. Chicago Blackhawks have to watch it. They know what Don Koharski is going to call, and they have to stay out of the penalty box.
Shots on goal in the second period.
Well, the shots on goal now 23-14 in favor of Detroit. Red Wings have the lead after 2 periods at the United Center.
The Hockey Night in Canada version of Meet the Press, starring Chris Cuthbert, Dick Irvin, John Garrett, and yours truly. Chris Chelios has garnered rave reviews in the Stanley Cup playoffs, a couple of overtime winners. As you know, he's a 2-time Norris Trophy winner, but I don't think he's ever been better than when he was in this room yesterday to face a 4-on-1. Questions from our panel, beginning with Chris Cuthbert.
This series is Chelios against Coffey. Does that register in your mind at all that the game even has to rise a little bit more because you're up against one of your great adversaries in the league?
No, I mean, I can't compete with Paul Coffey offensively. That's where the players, as a team, we have to shut him down. It's the Blackhawks against the Wings, and we have to shut Paul Coffey down. As far as we're concerned, he's the key. He's a proven winner. He's got 4 Stanley Cups. He's the best offensive defenseman ever to play the game, and you know, we have to find a way to stop him. And if we stop him, I think that'll affect the Wings.
Now, against Detroit, it seems you've been more of a target than against Vancouver. Is that the case? Do you think Detroit is trying to slow you down?
Well, I took some pretty bad hits in Vancouver also, but they were called for penalties, and I think it hurt Vancouver in the long run. Detroit, the first game, Primo, I think I maybe woke him up when I hit him in the first few minutes there, and he come after me pretty good, but that's all part of playoff hockey, and it's something I'm used to.
There seems to be a great joy with you and seeing other guys do well. Who taught you that, and how do you feel about that important role?
Well, I guess I owe that to Canada. You know, like I played 2 years in Moose Jaw, and I was the first time away from my family. All you have is the players. That's your family, and I got to rely on them and trust them. And like I said back 10 years ago, the players 12 years ago, people didn't have outside distractions. Players weren't doing endorsements or promotions and things like that sort to making money, and now it seems like there's too many distractions like that, and players have other interests, and like you said, you get married and kids, and it was great to be with all those Canadian guys where you work together in the lumberyard, and then you go and practice and play together, and you know, I really love being with the guys, and you know, I trust them with my life. They were always there for you on the ice, and they were there for you off the ice, and it was something important to me.
You weren't married or you weren't a father when you first came to Montreal, as I well remember. Now you are. How's fatherhood?
Well, that's life. Times change. Those are some good days, the wild days, and you go into your first few years of pro, and it's everything you dreamed of. You know, I'm playing with guys like Guy Lafleur, Larry Robinson, Bob Gainey, you know, guys that I grew up watching, and it was like living a dream, and I think I enjoyed it as much as I could, sometimes a little too much, which I got myself in trouble, but you know, you mature, like you say, you get married, you have kids, and you settle down, and I guess I've settled down off the ice. I haven't settled down on the ice, and I guess that's me, though.
Tell us, Chris, how you became a defenseman, and then when you got to Montreal, who was your first partner?
The story about being a defenseman was simple. I went to Moose Jaw, and the coach asked me what I played, and I asked him what he needed, and that was what I did. I played defense. I was a forward my whole life until then, and I got a lot more ice playing defense, and I just got fortunate. I had a coach named Larry Billows, who he was a good friend of Brophy's, Mike, and we get along just well, fine with that. So it was a pretty easy transition for me. I just was real fortunate. I was in the right place at the right time.
What do you remember about the Hawks as a kid, and how special is it to be a Chicago kid playing for the Blackhawks?
I mean, I loved them with all my heart. I grew up in probably the best days with Bobby Hull, Stan Mikita, Pitt Martin, Magnus. I can go right down the lineup there, and they were great years. They battled Montreal. They lost in 1971. I was in the stadium for that with my father. I could remember sitting on top of his shoulders for that. And geez, I hated Montreal. I got drafted by them, and I never wanted to be there. And for that reason, but the old stadium, it was. I'm sure all you guys have been there, and the people that have had a chance to experience. There's no building, you know, in professional sports that could have that type of atmosphere, and it was sad to see it go. You know, we've got a great building here, and times change, but you'll never forget the memories I've had in that building. It's just a rough crowd, and you know, it represented Chicago very well.
At its center, ready to go. Third period with the Blackhawks down by a goal, facing their biggest period of the playoffs so far. Couldn't hold the lead in game 2 after 40 minutes. Let's see if Chicago can bounce back in the third period of this game against Detroit, and they start at even strength. 15 minors so far in this game. That's more than the combined totals of the first 2 games. The shots on goal are 10-9 for Chicago at even strength, 14-4 for the Detroit Red Wings during the power plays. Here comes Detroit. Cicerelli fan on the pass. Bird deflecting it in, and Steve Smith clears it right back out, and Savard's on the move. Gives it to Craven. Dirk Graham on the rush as well, but the back pass Broken up by Cicerelli. Kept in by Roenick. And now Dino Cicerelli. Giving it off to Fedosov. Back to Rouse. And the former Leaf flipping it in past Belfour, and Chelios took a hit. Gary Suter on this near side going up against McCarty. And now Roenick takes over. Roenick to Chelios. Long shot on Vernon. Joe Murphy quickly into forecheck, but it's the Red Wings skating out to center ice. Draper around the boards. Chelios up ahead. Jeff Shantz on the far side. Rink wide for Amonte, too far. Now Amonte will shoot it in. Off Lidstrom. McCarty going back to help out. And Coffey has it. Very quiet in the building right now as we start the third period. Fans a little anxious with their team down by a goal. Here's a lead pass for Daze over 2 lines. Offside. Well, the Blackhawks opened the scoring on a power play goal by Denny Savard. Keith Primo got it back with the man advantage for Detroit. And then in the second period, Chicago took another lead. Bernie Nichols ending his drought, first goal since March 31st. But Stu Grimson on his first shift, 2.5 minutes later, got Detroit back to even, and Paul Coffey continues his great play, and a power play goal from Lidstrom and Fedorov is the difference in the game.
Even strength, Chris, you mentioned the team playing even strength, and it's been a long time since we've seen that, and it's hard to get back into the groove. A guy like Denny Savard sat for most of the second period.
Coffey in his own zone, bumped by Shantz. Lidstrom up to Fedorov, and ahead it goes to Brown on the right side. Brown and Kozlov moving in, and that's broken up by Didick. Now Fedorov turning. Here's Sergei Fedorov to the line. Long shot, and that blasted past Belfour wide. Weinrich trying to hold up Brown. Clears it ahead. Brent Sutter flipping it out to center ice. Hawks changing. Cummins came off the bench. He comes up with the puck and sends it in. Poulin will forecheck. Cummins on this near side. Shepard with the giveaway. Bernie Nichols has it behind the net. Checked by Coffey. Cummins is there. To Nichols, back to Cummins. Primo has him tied up. Coffey pried it loose. Poulin puts it right back into that scrum. Now it comes back. And moving in from the point was Didick, but it was cleared by him down the ice. 3 minutes gone. Here in the third period, 3-2 Detroit. And here's Bernie Nichols. Moving in, Nichols' shot. That's blocked by Ramsey. Nichols with his own rebound. He goes to the boards with Ramsey. And Primo skates out with it. He's had a strong game and a strong series. Keith Primo moving in. Lost control. Now it's Shepard turning. Puts it in front. And Didick is there. Cummins couldn't corral the pass, and Ramsey waits. Teammates changing, and then fires it in. That's Bob Airy on the left wing. Draper's there for Detroit. Giving off to Airy. There's the shot. Knocked down off the blocker of Belfour. Gerald Didick off the boards. Craven got it out to center. Fedosov stopped it there, and Rouse clears it right back in the Blackhawk zone. And Detroit playing much tighter here to start the third after some wide open moments in the second. Carney getting his stick up on Steve Smith. Here's Murray Craven at center. Broken up by Sean Burr.
Fans getting upset with the Red Wings.
Suter shot off an ankle into the corner. Murphy hustling after it. And Dino Cicerelli is there. Suter and Chelios. Chelios banned on the pass. Fedorov was there for Detroit. This Chelios with Amonte breaking at center. Pass broken up. Fedorov dumps it right back in. Amonte can't corral it at center ice, and it's Lidstrom. Now Sean Burr with a long shot blasting it wide. And we've gone over 4 minutes without a whistle here to start the third period. Coffey winding up. Out to Cicerelli on the right wing as the fans start to make noise.
Quick changes for the Detroit Red Wings. Excuse me, Chris, here in the third period. And defense. 4 men back. There's a perfect example. All 4 red sweaters stretched out across the blue line.
And Amonte was offside.
It's a power play time for Paul Coffey and lots of penalty killing time for Chris Chelios. That's 3 minutes less than he played in the first 2 periods of Game 2.
Don't forget he sat out one of the penalties. Loses 2 minutes.
Here's Brent Sutter looking for a loose puck. Battling against Konstantinov. Daze in there as well. Sutter pushing off against Konstantinov. Chances for checking. Fox trying to turn it over. Comes back to Cam Russell. Flipped it in front. It's Kieran past Daze. Kept in by Weinrich, and now Detroit just fires it out to center ice. It spins it back in. Chicago makes the change. Poulin's out there now. Cummins and Nichols. Konstantinov. Out at center. Weinrich ahead, and Patrick Poulin. Can't get it over the line. Weinrich back to Cummins, and now Poulin will carry it in. Here's Poulin with Nichols, the shot! And Mike Vernon makes his best save of the third. It's the first save of the third period, but tested by Nichols. Now Doug Brown with a long pass. Here's the shot on Belfour, and he covers up.
There's no better place than Canadian Tire for quality and exhaust work guaranteed. Here's proof. We'll beat any competitor's quote by 10%.
Look at the television cameras beaming the game to you in Canada and here in the United States. We mentioned earlier on, this game is being seen on local television in Chicago. The odd playoff game does get on through the networks. The Blackhawks do not televise home games. They've taken heat for years in the press and the phone-in shows. So once in a while, they do get games on locally in the playoffs.
Here's Coffey flipping it in wide of the net. Much to our surprise yesterday with this great established franchise, a full page in one of the papers on how to watch a hockey game. No wonder they needed that. Kozlov lost it in the corner. Murray Craven is after it for Chicago. Craven back to Gary Studer. One hands it back in along the boards, and the Red Wings move it out. Kozlov at center. Long shot is blocked by Chelios, and now Craven on the left wing. Sizes it up, gives it back to Chelios. 5 Red Wings in the neutral zone. Make it look like rush hour here in Chicago. Not much room for the Blackhawks to move. Here's Primo. Pete Primo in with Cicerelli, and Primo was decked. After taking the pass, he's up now, and Diddick's watching him. They go to the boards, and Diddick ahead on the wing to Amonte. Broken up by Dino Cicerelli. Now Cicerelli crashes into Diddick. As his skate on the puck, Diddick knocked him down, and they do get a whistle. And 7:42 gone here in the third. Still 3-2. Detroit.
The Blackhawks involved in another title, which shouldn't be surprising when you take a look at some ancient history, and especially fairly recent history, and even during the regular season there wasn't much to choose on the scoreboard between these teams, although Red Wings had the advantage, winning 4 games to 1 for Chicago.
Here's Chelios high in the air, glove down, and Sean Burr will start back. Amonte got a piece of him. And Weinrich is in his own zone. Joe Murphy sweeps it out to center ice, and the Red Wings will clear it right back in on Belfour. Cicerelli forechecking against Chelios. Konstantinov standing up at the line, and Chelios can't get it out. Now Weinrich will try it. Red Wings changing, gives them a little breathing room as Roenick now moves to the line, past Konstantinov, and Murphy a shot right on. Here's Weinrich shot off a stick to the corner. Puck flipped in the air, glove down, loose puck, chance on
left wing lock works, but when you give the puck away, as the Detroit Red Wings do, turn it over in their own zone. Chance takes the shot through Paul Coffey, who was the one that gave it away. Coffey tried the high clear out. It didn't go out. The rolling puck snapped by Jeff Chance. You saw what Mike Vernon saw, very little until the puck was by him.
And they're cheering in Dutchess, Alberta, as Jeff Chance has tied it at the 8:33 mark of the third period. Chicago's third goal, Chance's third goal of the playoffs. And we're tied at 3. Puck over the glass and out of play.
Dick, we were talking about what a great game Paul Coffey was playing, and then he makes a mistake unlike Paul Coffey. Tried to go high with that puck to get it out, and didn't get it high enough. The Hawks were changing. Jeff Chance was coming off the bench, knocked down and snapped by Mike Vernon.
Hawks had a bit of momentum. Chris mentioned the line change, which gave them room on the left side to move the puck down the ice and into the Detroit zone. They had a chance on a rebound that missed, but the Red Wings then after that rebound right here, and that's the Coffey clearing try, and the resulting chance goal.
Now the Hawks trying to get it out. Steve Smith does get it over the line. A little bumping down there in the goal crease. Right off the face-off, and now we'll have another face-off. 10:53 left.
There was a Blackhawk dump heavily at the side of the Detroit net, and the fans are really giving it to Coho, who, there you go, there's an example. The fans giving it to the guy who called so many penalties through the first 2 periods. You wonder now here, 9:07 gone in the third, about the number of times he's going to use the whistle. Okay, John, we saw what the Red Wings were trying to do to come out with the 3-2 lead. Now what happens in this hockey game? 3-3.
I think we'll see more of that from the Detroit Red Wings, and they will just try and capitalize on their chances. They use a system called a left wing lock, where the left winger is the man back and the other 2 forwards are the forecheckers. And I think we'll see a lot of that in the last 10 minutes.
Is that related to containment?
It's very close relative of containment and delayed forecheck.
Entanglement. And icing the call. Late hit by Joe Murphy, who didn't hear the whistle, and they'll do it over again in the Chicago zone. It's Chris Draper, the hero of Game 2, who's quite a family story. Dave Draper, an uncle, is a great junior general manager and coach. His dad was the coach of the St. Michael's Buzzards, and his another uncle, Bruce, played in the NHL with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And one of 2 players on the Detroit Red Wings purchased for $1.
They have a bunch of free agents that they didn't have to give up anything to get. Bob Rouse, what's who's in this one?
As we mentioned off the top, those role players have played key roles. Here's Amante shooting in. Tony Amante using that speed, but Fedosov tied him up at the last second. Doug Brown ahead to Fedorov. Fedorov with 1 assist in this game, but for the most part has been quiet in the series as he blasts it in on Belfour. Chelios up with it, out on left wing to Amante. As we hit the 10-minute mark of the third period, 3-3. Cummins fired that shot off the stick and into the crowd. Wings get control, kept in by Smith at the line, and now is over the blue line. Nichols with a nice move, and here he comes. Bernie Nichols fired it. That hit Ramsey, went into the corner. Patrick Poulin after it there for Chicago. Cicerelli belted by Cummins. And he goes right back on Cummins, knocks the helmet off. And Cicerelli comes up with the puck. Cummins back at Cicerelli. Away from the puck. Cummins to the bench to Chicago. Makes a change. Smith is rolling it into the Detroit zone.
Jim Cummins being attended to on the Chicago bench.
And Cicerelli stays out there, has control, and feeds it ahead to Sean Burr. Spin move on Steve Smith, who came back and made the check up to Daze, kept in by Coffey. Here's Cicerelli, takes a look. Draper's in front. Puck comes back to the point. Coffey kept it in. The fans didn't think so. And neither did players at the Chicago bench in front. And a great block there by Nichols. Bernie Nichols blocking the shot by Chris Draper. Diddick has his man tied up. Draper trying to work it free. Nichols on him. Now Sean Burr in behind the net. Three Red Wings behind the red line, centered in front. Here's Lidstrom shooting on Belfour, and play whistle down, although Belfour did not have control. 8:29 to go.
In the work department with a San Jose series like total in shots, at least anyway, on the board, and Belfour the busier of the two goaltenders here tonight, but both of them have let in 3, and we've got 8:29 to play in the third period.
Quality of chances, the Joe Murphy breakaway. Mike Vernon strong on that one.
You've heard of 4-point games. The next goal might be worth a 2-game swing in the series. Under 8.5 minutes to go. And a 3-3 tie. Big Keith Primo has it again. Weinrich watching him. Tim Taylor picks up the loose puck. Taylor bodied by Craven. On the far side, Russell against Shepard. Haven't seen much of Shepard since he had his bell rung in the first period, and now it's cleared out to center. Here's Denny Savard on the move. Crisscrossing with Russell. One hand to Craven, and the pass broken up by Coffey. Good sprawling defensive play. Nifty pass by Denny Savard with one hand on the stick to Murray Craven. Darren McCarty doing his Michael Jordan, pulling it down from good hang time there. Now Fedosov grimacing. He apparently took a slash. Play continues. Fedosov has to play it down into the Chicago zone. He heads to the bench. Chelios. Draper on him, takes it away. Behind the net is McCarty. Back to the point. Ramsey's shot deflecting into the corner. And Tony Amonte flips it out to center ice. Konstantinov's there for Detroit. Sending it right back in. Chelios. Been out. One hand on the stick to Murray Craven. Darren McCarty doing his Michael Jordan, pulling it down from good hang time there. Now Fedosov grimacing. He apparently took a slash. Play continues. Fedosov has to play it down into the Chicago zone. He heads to the bench. Chelios. Draper on him, takes it away. Behind the net is McCarty. Back to the point. Ramsey's shot deflecting into the corner. And Tony Amonte flips it out to center ice. Konstantinov's there for Detroit. Sending it right back in. Chelios. Been out there most of this third period. Now under 7 minutes to go. Roenick tied up by Konstantinov. A pass for Darren McCarty and the former Belleville Bull to the line. Stopped up, following up. Fedorov shot. Belfour's not sure, but it's in the equipment. And play whistle down.
Their guy Fedorov known as being a highly skilled player, John. That's the third time he's really drilled a fairly long shot. That's Belfour. That's the shortest of the three. The other two came from around the blue line. Now here we have Fedosov, the veteran from Russia. Slash, reaction to the slash.
Joe Murphy with the hook on Fedosov. He broke the blade of his stick when he gave him that chop, and Fedosov went to the bench being attended to, but was able to play the puck after that. He had his hand away from the stick, and he made a good play on the puck. Denny Savard playing like he did in the first period. Goes through the defense, one hand on the stick, pass to Murray Craven, but Murray Craven couldn't get a shot.
Eric Weinrich up to Eric Daze, who gets it out to center ice. 6 minutes. 33 seconds left, third period, a 3-3 tie. As the Hawks try to register their first win of the series, Detroit trying to take a 3-0 stranglehold in this Western Conference final. Weinrich's going to turn it back. Weinrich out with Chelios right now, and you wonder if Gary Suter's duties may be finished for the night. Chance, who has the equalizer, in against Lidstrom. Puck comes loose, and Doug Brown takes over. Chelios to Daze, and both teams making another change. Bob Rouse. Now Chelios and puts it back out to center ice. Murphy's out there with Bernie Nichols and Patrick Kulak. Here's Dino Ciccarelli for Detroit. Nichols came back and made the check. And Chelios will turn it up ice. Handing it off. Joe Murphy trying to get loose at the line. Here come the Hawks. Murphy. Nichols to the net. Patrick Kulak couldn't get the handle with Nichols alone in front. Now down the left wing. Keith Primo steaming in. Fires. Belfort took it high. Rebound cleared by Diddick. Steve Smith will turn now. 5:15 to go, third period. As these two teams look for the go-ahead goal, Burr stripped Kulak. And Primo almost got loose. Now Smith is down. He's been shaken up. And play whistle down with Steve Smith on the ice. Slow to get up.
And Steve Smith waves the stick at Don Koharski in a spearing motion. And Steve Smith obviously thought that one of the Detroit Red Wings did the same thing to him.
Looked like a couple of the Hawks, including Dirk Graham, were appealing to Pat DiPuzzo, who may have had a better view.
Keith Primo hit Ed Belfour right in the face with that shot off the wing. One of the few times that the Chicago Blackhawks have given Primo a whole lot of room here in the third period. Primo tees it up. Ed Belfour's down, takes it off the bottom of the mask. Shaken up momentarily. Gerald Diddick did a good job coming back and making sure he doesn't hit anybody. Clears it high and hard behind the net.
Saw a little bit of vintage Denny Savard here a while ago with that one-hand pass we showed you on the replay. Two veterans made comebacks in this building this spring, and they will tell you that Denny meant more to the Hawks than Michael did to the Bulls. And you look at where they are in the playoffs.
Denny went an extra round and would like to go another round yet.
But does not have a statue outside the front door like Michael does.
What are they going to do with that statue and all the stats?
They're going to have to change everything.
Well, I wondered about Gary Suter. He's back on the ice and back alongside Chris Chelios. Belfour handing it off, and there's Savard. McCarty slowed him up. Konstantinov at the line, trying to keep it in against Savard. Kick free, and there's Craven. Savard following up. He's double-team checked, and the Red Wings clear it back down the ice. Chelios racing against McCarty, and he'll win the duel to get the icing call and a face-off back in the Detroit zone with 4:26 to go.
Nick, you talked about Paul Coffey, his great skating ability. Chris Chelios is amazing. He won that race against Darren McCarty. McCarty's got two steps. Chelios, after about 30 minutes of ice time, beats McCarty, pushes him off with one hand, and gets the icing call.
And Denny Savard wins that face-off. Goes after it behind the net. Lidstrom watching him. Back at the point, Suter. His shot doesn't get through, and Ray Shepard turns. Up to Fedorov. Here's Fedorov taking a look, and Chelios gloving that pass. Tim Taylor looking for the puck. Well, he can skate, and it's a pretty good hands, too, Chris Chelios. Now Dirk Graham crashing in there, trying to cause the turnover for Chicago. Savard as well, who's lost his stick. Lidstrom outlets, and Coffey. Off the skate of Taylor, it slides down the ice, and Suter will come back ahead of Ray Shepard for another icing call. 30-18, the shots on goal favor Detroit in this 3-3 tie.
John, a history of goaltending, what the last piece of equipment to sort of get modernized, the glove. The goaltenders wore almost the same gloves as everybody else, right up to maybe even in the 30s for many of them. They didn't have the kind of shots to handle, though, that the goaltenders have now. But how about Chelios? He's just wearing the same regular hockey glove.
That's right.
Bingo. Makes the grab.
So you think the goalie should switch back to the other one?
Hey, Gump Worsley said, they call us crazy, but we've got all that equipment, meaning guys like you and him. How about the defensemen? They block the shots and catch the puck, and they haven't got the same equipment we have.
Ed Belfour with his old glove. He's trying to break new ones in, but likes the old one for game.
And from the face-off, John Burr out to center. As soon as he got to the red line, rolled it in, and Primo's after. Primo, they say, has 7 prime scoring chances in this game, has 1 goal. Amonte at center. On the left wing for Roenick. Jeremy Roenick. Fetisov to the back glass. Centers in front. Murphy can't corral it. And then when he fed the point, it went by Smith. And Primo after it. Gerald Diddick, cross ice. There's Roenick. Amonte scooting in. Roenick got the deflection. Now Murphy's after it against Burr and pulled down. Ciccarelli, watched by Roenick, and now Chris Draper's on the move. He had the game winner Sunday afternoon. Ciccarelli working in. Belfour's down, and Ciccarelli couldn't work it in front. Now they get it in front. Burr looks for it. Belfour's got it.
Ed Belfour talking to Don Koharski as Sean Burr was in the crease momentarily and then backed out. Belfour took that questionable roughing penalty in the second period. I was surprised Dino Ciccarelli didn't shoot this puck. He's got some room. He's got a little traffic in front. Instead, he tries a wraparound. By the time he gets there, Chris Chelios is on him. Jeremy Roenick. Coverage pretty good after the delay. Daryl Sutter is talking about line changes right here with Don Koharski. Now Don Koharski has the hand up.
Daryl had one brief audience there with Koharski, who was right up at the bench, and from the face-off, Draper with a shot on goal. Draper has it again to McCarty. Watched by Weinrich, trying to power his way in front. Now Weinrich pulls him down, and Chelios takes over. 2:26 to go. Third period, a 3-3 tie. Jeff Chance, who has the equalizer, back on the ice for Chicago. Here's Daze looking for his first Stanley Cup goal. Checked at the line. And Fedorov back. Here's Fedorov, the bouncing puck. Ends up high off the glass. Fedorov crashing in, and a centering pass broken up by Belfour with a man loose in front. Now Lidstrom turns it over at center ice, gets it back to Fedorov, dumping it in wide of the net. Chance after it there. Under 2 minutes to go now. 6 of the last 7 games for Chicago have been decided by 1 goal, and the high stick brings play to a halt here.
Dick, that was another one of those 60-foot shots from Sergei Fedorov. He hasn't been challenging the defense at all. He's been just shooting it in. And you see the things he can do when he cranks it up 1-on-1 or even 1-on-2. I wonder why he hasn't tried to challenge any of the Chicago Blue Liners.
Just look at the Hawks bench as the camera drifts along. They tied the game with a goal by Jeff Chance. Second Regina Pat Jr. is 3-3 with a minute 48 left in regulation time. They know, those Blackhawks know. Chris, you mentioned their most important period of the playoffs. They can make a series out of it if they can win this one.
Right back in it with 1 goal, but just about out of it in Detroit. Scores next. A minute 48 left. Detroit scored Sunday afternoon, minute 45 to go. Here's the shot, Diddick, turning down. Puck behind the net, Murray Craven. To Denny Savard, checked by Primo. Primo put it right out in front, looking for Ciccarelli, and he got it himself out to center. Smith clears it back in. And now 90 seconds left in regulation time. Steve Smith takes a look. Denny Savard. And offside is the call at the line.
Well, the Red Wings do not have the benefit of the talent of Steve Yzerman in this tense situation right here. He will be back. The question, of course, as he was talking to Ron earlier, is when.
Scotty Bowman's best guess would be for Game 5 if it's necessary. But he wasn't sure Game 4 would even be enough time for Steve Yzerman. But does say he's right on schedule, and they did, the Red Wings say, he'd be out for 2 weeks after arthroscopic knee surgery. There's Amonte along the boards, and now Roenick better off fighting for it. Amonte can't get it out, under a minute left in this third period. And Detroit now has possession. Back to the line, and Amonte broke it up and clears it out. Bernie Nichols comes out. Lead pass at center. Fedorov has it there and now lost it to Amonte. Joe Murphy turns. He hands it away, and Doug Brown sends it into the Chicago zone. Going to overtime in Game 1. And we're less than a half minute away from that again as Daze will try to end it before the extra session. Nichols pulled down. And the puck flipped high. Back out to center. Chelios ahead to Suter. He deflects it in, and it's called on a two-line pass.
Chris Chelios didn't like that call. Ray Scampanello right on the blue line.
Well, Chelios looking up, seeing 13.7 seconds remaining. And I don't think that the Hawks wanted to face off anywhere in the area of their zone. It's just inside the blue line. Boy, they are the overtime kids of this year's playoff, if indeed there is. Something dramatic happens here in the last 13.7.
And you know, for the entire 13.7 seconds, Mike Vernon is going to be poised in the Detroit net.
And for every 13.7 seconds for the rest of his career.
Nichols down from the face-off. McCarty cheating in, but Weinrich broke it up. Out at center ice. Maybe a last shot for Weinrich, wide of the goal. And we are going to overtime for the second time in this Western Conference final.
Chicago Blackhawks coming back, trailing going into the third. Detroit, a good defensive team. They have something to build on, and they got a goal from a guy who's not a goal scorer. One of their role players comes through to even it up.
Well, it'll be the second overtime for Detroit, the sixth for the Chicago Blackhawks. Here's how we got to overtime tonight. Denny Savard opened the scoring. Power play goal answered by Keith Primoz with the man advantage late in the first period. In the second, Nichols gave Chicago another lead, but Stu Grimson, his first ever Stanley Cup playoff goal. Then Paul Coffey with a two-man advantage. Detroit led by one after 40 minutes, but in the third, Jeff Chance from Joe Murphy at 8:33. And we are tied at 3, courtesy of this Chance goal.
Paul Coffey gave the puck away, tries to block the shot. Jeff Chance, rolling puck, gets it up and over Mike Vernon.
31-19, the shots on goal through 60 minutes. Stay tuned, overtime coming up from Chicago.
Yeah, okay, well, you are.
Big game.
Now, I got to ask you a question. I said at the end of the first, that's why everybody watches Coach's Corner, right?
Yes.
I said there would be not quite as many penalties in the second. Did I not say that?
Yes, you did.
And I
barely right, though.
Yes, yes. Now, in the third period, I said there'd be none. You remember I said that?
Yes, you did.
And how many penalties were there in the third period?
0.
Now, I'm asking you, you're a referee. You're Junior B, eh?
Yes.
Pretty good.
Junior A, Tier 2.
Tier 2, very good.
University hockey.
Now, I'm asking
Colonial
you, okay?
Colonial League as well.
Okay.
Semi-pro.
I'm asking, pardon?
Go ahead. Semi-pro.
It's not semi-pro.
Well, isn't it? I think
No.
it's the wrong down.
Amateur. They have to be amateur. They're
The
still
Colonial League, no.
Brian, are they not amateur, Colonial?
That's semi-professional hockey. It's
Not.
like the East Coast League. It's well down in the loop, though.
All right, now,
Fair
Brian
deal.
Burke here is watching you.
Yes.
I'm asking you the question. Why can't they have the first period and the second period like the third period? Now, why?
Because, as I've explained to you in the past, first of all, Don Koharski set a standard with 7 penalties in the first period. The players all say, okay, well, he doesn't like clutching, he doesn't like hooking. So by the third period, they realize Koharski will call those things. They stop doing it. That's
You
one
believe that?
method. The other is, and I've told you this, when I go to referee schools, Ken Miller, the OHL,
Brian
OHA,
doesn't believe that.
he's a chap who does great instruction, and he's always explained. It's like
60.
holding a bird. 60,
30, 10.
That's right. 60% of your penalties should come in the early part of the game, 30% in the middle, 10% in the third, and that means you had the game under control.
Okay.
If we see 60% in the third, look out. That's why.
Well, give me the bird.
It's like
one.
holding a bird, he always said. You squeeze it too tightly, you kill it.
Yes.
You hold it this way,
that's
and
sweet.
the bird flies away.
Oh, that's
so all
nice.
you referees, aspiring referees, although I got to admit, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you often will see, at this point, with a game so meaningful, fewer penalties as you move on. Games 1 and 3, though, are the first games in a building, and you often will see more penalties. That's my theory on that. You know what really impressed me tonight?
What?
Stu Grimson scores a big goal.
Yes, he did.
And he's the first guy at the rink. We mentioned Jeremy Roenick. He's the first guy at the rink. They're the first two.
And, yes, you're right. And next Coach's Corner, I'm going to tell you long stories about that.
Why not now?
No, I'm not wasting now because most of the kids have gone to bed.
No, they haven't. It's only 11 o'clock in the east. It's only 8. 8 o'clock in British Columbia.
No. Ask me a question what I do when I tell the players and they're going into overtime, okay?
Especially, I'd be interested to see what Chicago's got to try.
Okay, now here's what you do. I'm never interested in the forwards. They take care of themselves. I never talk to the goaltender. I'm not going to tell a goaltender what to do. What I do with the defenseman, and you remember the kid from Boston that gave that puck away? What was his name? And the guy come in, McCann, put it top corner.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what you never do, kids.
John
Roll. Okay, here's what you never do. You play everything safe. You put them up the board. The last 10 minutes of that game, everything up the board, never up the middle. Never up the middle. And I always have, in overtime, one guy back. I never have two guys back, because if you have two guys back, they're coming at you, and they're going to score. One guy back and all the time, and then the guy can pinch and stay in there. That's what I always tell my defensemen. Safe, play it simple.
Who are you picking to score it overtime?
I am going to pick Dino Cicerelli and Jeremy Roenick. Who are you picking?
I'll go with Sergei Fedorov out on a limb there, but he's due.
Highest scorer.
Yeah, I know. And Murray Craven would be the ones. I think the Red Wings offensive guys have nothing to lose. A lot less pressure on Detroit right now, so it's going to be very interesting for the Hawks to get back
might
in.
argue with you.
Absolutely. We're going to show some great overtime goals, and as mentioned, Brian Burke's here and will join us as we move along in OT of Game 3. At Chicago, Illinois, the Red Wings and the Blackhawks nodded after 60 minutes of we're told, no, occupy, please. You know what the tradition in Chicago is? As promised, Senior Vice President, and it back up to the booth. Chris?
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Brian. 3-2 Chicago in overtime so far this year. Chelios with a couple of winners. Joe Murphy's had a winner. And Detroit with just the one overtime win. That, of course, was by Lidstrom in Game 1 as Denny Savard. On the right side, Dirk Graham, the high shot brought down. Craven looking for the rebound, and it's cleared out to center ice. Fedorov is cruising there. Gary Suter cleared it just out, brought in offside.
Fedorov and Chelios tied up, and that's why Fedorov was so far ahead of the play. Scotty Bowman changing his lines after only 20 seconds here in the overtime. Matchups, and Daryl Sutter does exactly the same thing. Sergei Fedorov with 5 shots on net, Dick, but 4 of the 5 have been from outside the blue line.
No, nothing close in for him at all. Going to be quick, boys, or going to be here for a while? What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think these two teams have the potential to go for a long time. It was quick in Game 1. I think we're here for a while tonight.
I think it's going to be the first 5 minutes.
And I'm going to keep score what you said.
Cleared around the boards, and it gets to Lidstrom, the hero of Game 1. Puts the shot on. Rebound. Belfour. What a stop. Still loose. Belfour scrambling. And Joe Murphy sprawling. Sean Burr. Blocked by Roenick. But the Hawks in trouble. And now get it out. Here's Joe Murphy. He's got great speed. Works it in. Murphy fired it high. It won't take long at this rate. Amandi putting it in front. Roenick burning down. And he'll hold on. What an opening 62 seconds.
Dino Cicerelli has scored over 500 goals in this league, John. What a chance he had to start all of this. Whoa.
Shot from the point, Sean Burr with a good screen. Cicerelli has it on his backhand. Can't get it off. He's hooked toe of the stick. And his backhand was weak and low. Belfour with the desperation save with the stick. Joe Murphy does a good job going out to block the shot. He can't get it through to Belfour. Joe Murphy at the other end has the chance. He's going to go high glove side on Mike Vernon. But too high, missed the net.
Sean Burr is being helped into the dressing room by the training staff of the Red Wings.
Chance on the face-off, beaten by Chris Draper. And Airy flips it out to center. Chelios sends it back into the Detroit zone. Mike Ramsey off the boards. There's great veteran Brent Sutter jostling with Draper. And now Gary Suter. Chased by McCarty. There's McCarty inside the line. Funny hop off the board. Suter has it. And flipped it over the glass and out of play.
I didn't see what happened to Sean Burr. I just noticed him as he got to the bench, and then he was immediately looked at by the training staff, and they literally were almost carrying him down that corridor you see directly behind the bench. Scotty Bowman left and then out into the dressing room area. So it would appear that the Red Wings are down by 1 in player strength right now with Sean Burr taken to the dressing room.
A test for their depth. Another centerman going down. Chris Draper has played very well for Steve Yzerman, and he has a number, Scotty Bowman has a number of players who play different positions. Ray Shepard has played center before. Tim Taylor has played center.
Draper wins another face-off, pulling it back. Now Ramsey at the line. Couldn't get it by Amonte. And it's out at center. Patrick Poulenc clearing it into the Detroit zone. Bernie Nichols on the ice, ending his goal-scoring drought earlier in this game. McCarty to the line. There's Draper. Mike Ramsey moving up on the plate. Couldn't get it by Weinrich. And Chicago turns it back. 2 minutes into this overtime. Steve Smith. Up to Amonte, takes a look. Got it by Airy. And this one flipped into the crowd.
Chris Chelios playing a lot here in overtime, playing a lot in regulation time. 31-16, and Paul Coffey 25-09. The major defensive gap, but a very strong game to Paul Coffey, 30-24. And Jeremy Roenick, who hasn't played very well tonight, his minutes down 18-50. And the way he's played, Dick, I don't think we've seen the best of Jeremy Roenick tonight, and maybe he'll have a one-on-one meeting with Daryl Sutter.
Neither Roenick nor Amonte with a shot on goal in this game. Two players the Hawks look to for scoring.
Tell you, those meetings work. Daryl Sutter meeting with Denny Savard and Bernie Nichols. Both have produced goals here tonight. And Savard with a goal and an assist up against Primo, who's also 1-1 on the night. And Primo looking for a loose puck, comes up with it. Here's Primo in! And he lost control of it, swooping in on Belfour. Don't keep Primo a dominant force every time out there, it seems. Weinrich around the board, kept in by Rouse. Down the near side, Graham tied up by Tim Taylor. Weinrich back to Smith, who takes a look. From the left wing, pinching in was Rouse, centering it. Shepard couldn't reach it, and it comes out to center. Fedosov clears it back in as Detroit makes a full change. Fedorov comes out with Brown and Kozlov. Coffey's back on the ice. This is Brown or Kozlov at center, working his way to the line, rolling it in on Belfour. Nicholas Lidstrom. There's a long shot, deflected, and Belfour with the stop as Doug Brown got a piece of that Lidstrom shot and changed the direction.
Well, there's Sean Burr. These hockey players never cease to amaze me. He was in obvious distress, taken out right away by the training staff. There he is, back, and we assume at this distance, ready to go.
Eric Weinrich gets trapped reaching for the puck. He can't do that against the strength of Keith Primo. Goes in. Ed Belfour with a good poke check. Stick out, hands out, and he catches Primo's stick. And Primo loses the puck.
Jeff Chance on this face-off against Fedorov. And Chance ties him up. Chicago wins the draw. Chelios ahead to Daze. Here's Eric Daze rolling it in. Immediately, Chicago makes the change. Roenick's back out there with Amonte. And Joe Murphy. This is Fedorov over the line. He's hooked down. Brown followed up, and the shot right on Belfour. No chances taken. He'll get a face-off, and we're 3.5 minutes into this extra period.
And that's the third Red Wing shot, make it the fourth Red Wing shot here in this overtime. The Blackhawks have had one. So Eddie the Eagle busy again in extra time.
Our coach talking about, Don Cherry, talking about the defenseman pinching in, and we've seen that from the Detroit Red Wings, but we haven't seen that in the overtime from the Chicago Blackhawks.
Daryl Sutter's team won 3 overtime games in their 4-game sweep of Vancouver. This is now 5 overtimes in the last 7 starts. He kept it in. Now Roenick reaching forward. Amonte scooting through. Tied up by Konstantinov. Murphy in front. Swept away by Vernon. Now Ramsey against Murphy in the corner. Pinching in his Suter. By him. And here's a break with Bob Airy. Draper trying to make it a 2-on-1, but he's tied up nicely by Roenick, who got back. Gelios takes a hit, gets it ahead, and Roenick gets it out. Here's Amonte on the move. McCarty hooking at him to slow him up. And again, the Red Wings making a wholesale change as Suter gets it out on the right side. Brent Sutter off the boards. Sliding down the Detroit zone. Daze would have got there first, so Vernon plays it. And now Bob Rouse. Dino Ciccarelli to Big Keith Primo. On the move against Weinrich. Ciccarelli the shot. And that deflects high and out of play.
I guess after his miss on the backhand, Chad, Ciccarelli was trying to make up for it. He just moved into that one as quickly as he could, and he let it go.
And your Regina friend Jeff Shantz came across to get that one on Dino Ciccarelli. A good defensive job by Shantz coming back. Ciccarelli didn't see him at all. Shantz came back to get it up and over the glass. Keith Primo makes a nice play. Weinrich stays with him and makes sure that Primo doesn't get back into the play. Pins the man down, and Shantz gets there just in time. Ciccarelli tees it up. Shantz comes into your picture and makes the good defensive play.
Sean Burr back out on the line with Ciccarelli and Primo. And Daryl Sutter entrusting these face-off duties to Jeff Shantz in his own zone. Primo forces it back, though. Rouse with the shot off Belfour's blocker to Brent Sutter. Out at center ice. Past Daze and Fedosov back to get it. Up on the right side, Ciccarelli checked. And now Fedosov tries this near side. Burr just chops it out. And Daze will go back to get it. And we're through 5 minutes.
Another one of my predictions.
Will probably come about now and we'll both be wrong. There's a hit by Diddick on Fedorov. Burr. Now Fedorov knocked down by Diddick. And Fedorov slow to get up. Bergstrand clears it in. They're going to let play. No. Don Kowarski now whistles play down.
That was one time, John, when Fedorov didn't wind up and fire from well out. And at first glance anyway, he may be having second thoughts about that. And Fedorov to shoot the puck. Now we get a hassle developing in the neutral zone.
Burr and Sean Burr went over on Steve Smith.
Fedorov still down. Fedorov fakes the shot and is played very well by Gerald Diddick. It's the stick up on Fedorov, but Diddick didn't go for the fake shot at all. And it didn't look like that hit was that serious, but Fedorov in obvious pain.
Yeah, the player from Russia is still down on the ice, now slowly getting up. The much-traveled Gerald Diddick, at least once in a while he travels, the Islanders, the Canadians, the Canucks. And Fedorov isn't traveling very far right now as he's still down on his knees. It's gone through 5 minutes and 23 seconds of extra time. The Red Wings with 5 shots, the Blackhawks with 1, and he is getting no sympathy from the crowd as he slowly makes his way to the bench.
Gerald Didick doesn't go for the fake, stays with the man. Stick in the chest area of Sergei Fedorov.
Well, our camera's looking at the Chicago Blackhawks brain trust, Bob Fulford. The left-hand side, general manager, Hockey Hall of Famer from his days with the Leafs, and Bob Murray, who played over 1,000 games on defense for the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, head of their scouting department up there as well. Very important night for them in this building.
Big draw here as well, and it was won by Chris Draper. Off the outlets, and then it's sent out to center ice. McCarty giving chase. Chelios puts it back to center. Dirk Graham cleared it back in his own zone. Draper there, puts it towards the net. Belfour down, and McCarty crashing into him. Don Koharski blows play dead. And Dirk Graham with a rare defensive miscue in his own zone.
Detroit crashing the net. Puck comes to the side of the net. Ed Belfour has trouble with it. Bob Airy is in his face, trying to dig it out. Those new big gloves, Dick, we saw them. They're really hard to cover up the puck. Those old leather ones, you could actually pick the puck up off the ice. The catching gloves now are so big, and there's a wedge in them. They're great for catching. They're great for the spectacular saves, but they're really hard to cover up the puck in your feet.
Draper and Nichols on this face-off. Coffey and Lidstrom poised at the point. Chicago wins the draw. Chelios up to Patrick Poulin, and he gets it out to center, and Nichols is on the move. Here's Bernie Nichols to the line. Tony Amonte following up. Nice move. Amonte fires it. A nice stop there by Mike Vernon. Patrick Poulin quickly on the puck. Poulin in the corner. Nichols behind the net. Amonte's loose, and Vernon down. What a great pair of moves by Tony Amonte, and an even better save by Mike Vernon as Tempers player in front of the Detroit netminder.
Tony Amonte's first shot of the hockey game, and it was a dandy. Great play. He beat two players to get the shot away, and Vernon with the big stop.
He beat the players when he was almost standing still using quick hands. Bernie Nichols forces the defense back. Outside, inside, outside, inside. Tees up the shot through a partial screen, and Mike Vernon in behind Paul Coffey made the great save with the left pad. Outside, back to the inside, same move again. It worked once, why not twice? Two forwards, Chris Draper and Bob Airy beaten, and a great save by Mike Vernon. Mike Vernon is very quick on the wraparound attempt. He's there to make sure that there's no rebound.
Now Jeremy Roenick against Keith Primo. Red Wings control the defensive face-off. And Sean Burr up to Primo. Primo hooked down by Craven. And Belfour hands it off to Gerald Didick. Burr chops at it wide of the net. On the far side, Steve Smith has possession. Out at center for Craven, and now Roenick. Jeremy Roenick. Here's Joe Murphy moving in. Checked by Burr. Murphy taken to the backboards, and Primo winds up. Primo goal and an assist, pinched off at the Chicago bench, and the play cleared back in offside.
He's Primo the target as Steve Smith came across, Gerald Didick came across. Sergei Fedorov now going out. Oh, he's still on the bench.
Now, the trainer hasn't left him. In fact, there was quite a stretch of play where the trainer seemed to be sitting on the board. I was surprised they let it go as long as they did. Fedorov decked by Didick on D-Day. And is he going to come back? Might be a bit of a question now for the Red Wings. His line mates are out there. He's not.
Tim Taylor has taken his spot with Kozlov and Brown. Fedosov ran into his man, and now Taylor clearing it in. Chelios for Chicago. Wheeling out through center. Chelios on the move. A couple of overtime goals already in these playoffs. Rick Sutter working in the corner. And it comes out, Fedosov, right side. Ray Shepard can't get loose, but Kozlov follows up. Here's Kozlov working in with Taylor. Kozlov shot blocked by Chelios. That was a good chance for Detroit. Kozlov gets his stick up with Weinrich, and a chance for Shepard, stopped by Belfour. Here's another centering pass, and Belfour down. Ray Shepard. Haven't heard much from Shepard tonight after the big hit in the first period by Dirk Graham, and Shepard just missed.
You have got to admire the goaltenders, folks. They have made some terrific stops in this pressure situation. Here's another one coming up here with Belfour.
Shepard circles wide and goes unnoticed by any of the defensive coverage, and there's Belfour. Good save and a quick reaction on the wraparound pass-out try. Belfour gets square, off the chest again, and then back to his feet. Quick mobility and the great skating ability of Ed Belfour.
Shepard with 52 goals last year, 30 this year, which is prorated to a 52-goal season again. Chris Draper's roommate, and Draper, who's a great defensive player, says he likes to pick Shepard's brain about scoring goals and kind of use the advice to score the winner in Game 2. And now Fedorov's gone from the Red Wing bench. That empty chair means he's in the dressing room. Seven and a half minutes gone in this extra period as Amati speeds back in. Tony Amati off the back foot, the shot. Vernon has trouble corralling the rebound. Play continues. Diddick at the line. Puts it back in. Nichols can't catch up to it, but Amati has it. Behind the net, Patrick Poulin. Up against Coffey. And now Airy out to center ice. Sent back in by Poulin. There's Nichols after it. He's tied up. Coffey takes a hit, and the puck's out of play.
Bernie Nichols, a much more spirited effort here in Game 3 than we saw in Games 1 and 2. Had a great opening round against the Toronto Maple Leafs. We saw him block a shot here tonight. We saw many occasions in the Toronto series where that was the better part of Bernie Nichols' game, his defensive part back in his own zone.
Well, there's a sense of relief that he's scored a goal, but if Chicago doesn't win the game, he won't find much consolation in the slump ending tonight. And again, Primo and Denny Savard. And Primo kicks it free. John Burr is hit by Dirk Graham. Denny Savard crashing in there too. Now Ramsey around on the other side. Craven tied up by Ciccarelli. And here come the Red Wings. Belfour handing it off to Chelios with Burr in pursuit. Gary Suter now. Chelios being hassled by Ciccarelli behind the play as Suter flips it in on Vernon. And he's 44 gone in this overtime section.
The description of that shot by Gary Suter, a flip. One of the things that the Detroit Red Wings try to do defensively is not let Chris Chelios jump up into the play. Chelios tied up by Sean Burr with Dino Ciccarelli. They take a look, see who it is. Okay, you're not going to get back into the play. Grab the sweater, grab the sweater. And the Hawks try and do the same thing with Paul Coffey.
Well, his 2 overtime goals in Vancouver coming late on the rush. Another face-off in the Detroit zone. Primo there for the Red Wings against Roenick. Murphy's poised, but Primo wins another defensive draw for Detroit. Roenick crashing in there, looking for the loose puck, but Ciccarelli's got it. Murphy takes it from him, and Roenick back along the boards. Amati and Rouse jostling. There's Murphy with it. Back to the point. Weinrich, wrist shot, right on rebound, and that went off Roenick, who was in behind Vernon. Primo at center, and Amati swinging his stick. Fetisov fires it in. Sloppy change by the Red Wings as the puck slid by Primo going off. Here's Tim Taylor. Looking to center it out in front. Shepard, and it just went by the post. Taylor's wrap around, and Belfour's down. Rebound, Belfour again as Detroit comes close. Doug Brown with the last chance, but Belfour keeps them out.
Dick, you talk about the goaltenders, the pressure. Once you get involved in the game, it's like playing a first period. You're just out there, you get the shots. Mike Vernon makes the save. The rebound goes off. Roenick skates in behind him. And at the other end, Ed Belfour, a couple of great saves. This one, he's lucky. It bounces off the stick, just goes wide. Strong on the wraparound try. Stick on the ice. Taylor passes it out. And they try and get it up and over Belfour, Doug Brown, but he hits that big glove, the cheater on the glove, and it stays out.
Hawks flip it down the ice, and Coffey gliding back to get it. Poulin picks him up immediately. Doug Brown on the right side, hit by Nichols. And the Wings get it to center. Steve Smith and Diduck on defense for Chicago. Nichols at the line. Can't get loose. Daze and Kozlov battle for it. And Lidstrom gets it back out. Paul Coffey to Kozlov. His pass went off Diduck. And Lidstrom turns back. A couple of assists for Lidstrom in this game. Coffey moving in. Here's Paul Coffey. Belfour. Rebound. Belfour again. As Draper had the rebound after Coffey broke in.
It doesn't get any better than that, John, for your fellow members of the Goaltenders Union in overtime.
Paul Coffey head up all the way. That was an excellent save by Belfour, but the one on Draper was even better. Coffey up the middle, nobody picks him up. Belfour goes down to make the save. What quickness to get back to his feet for the rebound. Down, right back, up again, and over to make the save on Draper. Coffey's speed, he's by Diduck. Looks up, sees Belfour, tries to slide it through. Belfour down, right back, up again, over, down, and the save on Draper.
And Draper now poised in the face-off circle. Against Denny Savard, and the veteran wins one for Chicago. Captain Dirk Graham out to the line. Craven was knocked down. Bob Airy trying to get control. And it's Draper to McCarty. Bob Airy on the move, tripped up by Graham. Chelios turning away from the forechecking of Chris Draper. Chelios hit by Airy, and Suter flips out to center. And we've now played 11 minutes of overtime in a 3-3 tie at the United Center. Craven chopping at it. Just missed Pat DeBuzzo and slides the length of the ice, and icing the call against the Hawks.
Another injury on the Detroit side of things. Mike Ramsey apparently has been shaken up. Total of 13 shots in the entire third period. There have been 15 shots just past the halfway mark of an overtime period, as Ramsey seemed to, as he got clipped by a puck or a stick or whatever. Now they have lost Fedorov. He decided to head to the dressing room after, as we saw, giving it some thought on the bench. So the Red Wings down by one, but the one is the player who has been their outstanding point producer. Primo's carrying a big load at center, but he's carried it well.
Logged a lot of ice time, won a lot of face-offs, and he's in against Roenick again. And Pat DeBuzzo finally puts it in there. And out of the scrum, Amonte gets control for Chicago. And Tony Amonte winding up. Ahead to Joe Murphy, went by him. Vernon out of the net. Around for Rouse. There's Roenick crashing into him. Hanging on as Rouse tries to flip it out. Amonte kept it alive. Now bounces over Murphy's stick, and Cicerelli on the wing to Ray Shepard. Eric Weinrich lost control of it. Here's Shepard turning it over. Weinrich scrambling, got it ahead, and here's Amonte. 2-on-1, Murphy loose. Tony Amonte shot. Doesn't get by the defenseman. Jeremy Roenick loose in front. Monty just missed him. And Coffey comes back. Here come the wings. All Coffey. Here's the pass to Cirelli, and it's knocked to the side by Smith. Jeff Chance has his stick broken, and Brent Sutter turns, trying to get it out of the zone so Chance can get a new piece of lumber. And Sutter gets the job done. Chris Chelios with the shot, Vernon down, and he'll hang on. Brent Sutter just cruised in front of Vernon as the shot got to the Detroit netminder.
Paul Coffey talking it over with Mike Vernon. Vernon threw that puck around the boards and didn't get any help. There was no winger there. The Hawks have a 2-on-1 with Tony Amonte, but Joe Murphy's at the end of a long shift, and Ray Shepard does a good job coming back. It's Shepard defensively right in front of Joe Murphy, and the 2-on-1 turns into a 2-on-2. After Mike Vernon gave that puck away, he gets back in position and makes sure there's no rebound.
I'd like to know what Daryl Sutter, as we see Dino Ciccarelli doing his thing again, but Daryl Sutter or Rich Preston or Paul Baxter might have said to Tony Amonte after the third period. He was pretty well invisible in regulation time. He has been very strong in overtime.
Saving himself.
Working.
Chance ready to lock horns with Chris Draper, who doesn't like the setup. Having words with Ray Scapinello. As they dig in and then get waved out. Brent Sutter is a second center iceman for Chicago, and he might have an advantage here against McCarty. And Chicago wins the draw. Chelios at the point, and that hit a stick and sails high. Steve Smith just dumps it in along the backboards. Patrick Poulin is there, trying to center it. Poulin still working the boards. Drops it off. There's Chance. Constantina brushes it down. That gets a huge roar. Now Draper to the line, kept in by Smith. Chance off the boards. And the Red Wings are able to get it out. Bob Airy with McCarty moving in. Here's Airy shooting it on Belford. No rebound. And a whistle.
And a chance for the fans to voice their displeasure with Don Koharski. Jeff Chance gave Konstantinov the good move. Konstantinov reaches around. No penalties in the third period, and we aren't going to have any in the overtime.
Although in Chicago's home win in overtime, it was a power play goal. Actually, Chicago was short first, but then Vancouver took a penalty later. Joe Murphy scored it. Tim Taylor on this face-off against Denny Savard. Gerald Diddick for the Hawks. Murray Craven up to Denny Savard through center. Diddick hopping up on the rush. Here's Diddick in deep trying to center. In behind the net, Red Wings come up with it. Diddick down. Takes a shot. That hit Graham in front. And Detroit will turn. Doug Brown with Taylor and Kozlov. Here's Brown. Held up. Got the pass to Taylor. A weak shot on the short side. Now Diddick flips it down the ice. Fetisov goes back, so icing is the call against the Hawks.
Gerald Diddick tired after that rush where he threw the puck in front. Wanted to get a whistle and get a breather. The Hawks defense jumping up a little more now that we're past the 10-minute mark of the first overtime period, trying to create some more chances. Detroit had the good early chances, and Ed Belfour has weathered the storm. Chris Draper now talking things over. Draper was very good in the third period on faceoffs. That's why he was out there in the defensive zone for Scotty Bowman. He was 3 out of 4 in the third period. And without Fedorov, takes away one of your faceoff men.
This is now the third longest overtime game of this year. Primo wins the faceoff. Back to Coffey. Shot hit Primo in front. And Jeremy Roenick flips it high in the air. Ray Whitney's goal for San Jose. The second overtime period, still the longest. And now Roenick to the line. Paul Coffey out to center, picked off by Amonte. Now Ciccarelli has it. Dino Ciccarelli's had one of the best chances so far in the extra session. Keith Primo after it against Gary Suter. Here's Ciccarelli in the corner. Kozlov is in behind the net. Ciccarelli's tied up by Roenick. Primo trying to work it free. You can see the puck still moving, and now the skates on it. Don Koharski lets them continue to play. Kozlov finally up with it. Tied up by Suter. Tony Amonte now outlets, and Joe Murphy's on the move with Chelios. 2-on-2 as they hit the line. Murphy winds up, and the glove stopped by Vernon. Quickly, Chicago changes their five-man alignment, and Kozlov's cruising in. Tim Taylor's in front. Here's Kozlov circling. Kozlov still with it. Still now shoots. Belfour down, and the rebound cleared. Poulin skips back for Chicago at center. We passed the 15-minute mark of this overtime session. Big collision there. Bernie Nichols and Tim Taylor. Coffey tries this near side, and Ray Shepard up for Kozlov, broken up, and Konstantinov's back. Over to Coffey, watched by Nichols. Rink wide to Shepard. Now Airy stopped as he tried to cross the line, and Steve Smith. Being watched by Shepard. Hands it off to Weinrich. Around the boards, Nichols gets it out. Here's Draper out there against Weinrich. Puck comes back to the point. Fetisov cleared it over into the far corner. Bernie Nichols there with under 4 minutes to go in this first overtime period. Pass goes rink wide, and it's Bob Airy sizing it up. Draper couldn't control it. In the corner is McCarty. He took a hit. Belfour will clear it around. Bob Rouse pinching in. There's McCarty behind the net. Airy trying to get loose as they jam away. And Chicago up with it. Brent Sutter. Up ahead it goes to Murray Craven. Craven turned back by Primo. Now Coffey. Pass Sean Burr, and that slides down to the Chicago blue line. Gary Suter hands it off to Graham. Denny Savard on the ice. Joe Murphy, Dirk Graham for Chicago. Sean Burr. Dino Ciccarelli, Keith Primo for Detroit. Here come the Red Wings. Belfour out of the net. Around the glass, Ciccarelli awaiting it. Centered it. Primo deflecting it into the corner. Chelios turning for the Hawks, up to Denny Savard. Here's Savard dropping it off. Dirk Graham tried to thread it into Joe Murphy. Chelios will send it deep. Murphy behind the net. Coffey there for the Wings. And Detroit up with it. And it's Sean Burr.
Keep going!
Here's Taylor. Going wide. Sean Burr the shot. That's off the logo, and Belfour sprawling to control the rebound. Ciccarelli was close.
You could hear someone from the Chicago bench, and Denny Savard, who was trailing on a defensive role, saying, "Keep going, Savvy, keep going."
He had his head buried in it. Not much left at the end of a long shift for Dennis Savard, but he did get back in time. Slava Kozlov has a chance. Steve Smith fell on a broken stick that was on the ice, and that created some havoc in front of Ed Belfour. Kozlov goes wide. Everybody's back, but nobody's taking anybody. Kozlov with a nice move on Patrick Poulin, and the Hawks get a break as it bounces a couple of times and stays out. Darren McCarty with the puck behind the net. McCarty comes around. He's trying to stuff it in. Belfour makes the save. Bob Airy reaches out, and he can't get it. And the Hawks clear the zone.
Tim Taylor on this face-off. He's been a great insurance policy for Scotty Bowman with Steve Yzerman out. Won the draw, the shot in, and Belfour will hold on. Now we're told that Bob Rouse has also gone to the Detroit room.
So I think of the Red Wings out here right now, boys. No Steve Yzerman, no Sergei Fedorov. Bob Rouse, the key defenseman, now gone. Apparently, at least temporarily. And now Now the trainer is talking to Scotty, who is listening and not watching, not looking too pleased at what he heard.
Stalemate there between Roenick and Taylor, but Chris Chelios will lead Chicago out. Flipping it in deep, and Jim Cummins, who we haven't seen in a while, taken to the boards by Kozlov. Comes free for Roenick. He flips it in front, and that changed direction going wide. Amonte in behind the net. Puck went by Roenick, and here's Kozlov down left wing. Passing it across. Doug Brown takes his man to the boards. Chelios bumping Kozlov. And now under 2 minutes to go in overtime, in the first overtime period, as Amonte sends it in. Darren McCarty setting up. Jeff Chance is out with Daze and Brent Sutter for Chicago. Glove down by Diddick, and Kozlov gets it out to center. Sutter at the line. Chance trying to help out as Kozlov is... That's Draper tying up Sutter. Now the four pile up into the corner. 1 minute under a minute now left. Sutter continues to work along the board. Diddick has pinched in, and Chicago's up with it. Back it comes to Diddick. There's the shot. Daze got a stick on it, and Detroit clears it. And this will be icing against Detroit with 41.4 seconds remaining in the first overtime period.
Well, Fedorov has just returned. He was standing in the aisleway, and just before the cameras got to him, sat down on the Red Wing bench. He has missed all of the last half of this overtime period. 41 seconds to go. So he is back, but Scotty's not putting him on right away. So we're in overtime here in this one. Tomorrow night it will be Game 3 of the Eastern Final from the Meadowlands in New Jersey. The Flyers trying to get back into it against the Devils, 7:30 Eastern, and then Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. Game 4 of this one.
Bernie Nichols, Keith Primo. Set the duel, won by Chicago. Joe Murphy back to Suter, flipping it in on goal, and Vernon ends up at the bottom of the pile. Konstantinov took a shot at the Hawk player. That's Bernie Nichols on top of Vernon.
Bernie Nichols uses no strength whatsoever on faceoff, relies totally on quickness. And that time he beat Big Keith Primo just on that quickness. And it was a good scoring chance. After winning the draw, Nichols went to the net and created some havoc in front of Mike Vernon, but the flip in, Mike Vernon caught that one easily because it was about 6 inches off the ice.
Rouse is back. Not as much room anymore in the Red Wing bench.
Been long enough here in overtime to get some of those injuries healed up. Although we haven't seen Fedorov on the ice yet.
Spent some time in the hyperbaric chamber.
Chris Chelios out at center on the tape to Murphy. Murray Craven trying to barge through. He's knocked off the puck, and Primo will turn. 15 seconds left. Keith Primo stopped by Chelios. Kept in by Cicerelli. The shot. Belfour down. And Sean Burr on the doorstep draws a crowd.
Well, Sean Burr, another wounded warrior on the Red Wing camp. And in the middle of all of this,
Dino Cicerelli and Murray Craven. Chris Chelios came in and did the face wash on Sean Burr, and then Keith Primo came in on Chris Chelios.
With those gloves, it's almost an oxymoron, the face wash.
But that's the new and improved, mild-mannered Chris Chelios. He would never do anything like that.
He'll be in the middle there right now in the old days.
The Hawks have a chance to get it out. Bernie Nichols doesn't. Sean Burr tries to dig it out of Eddie Belfour's glove. The pushing and shoving. Chelios comes in. Snow face. Wash your face with the snow. And then Keith Primo comes in and uses his glove. Joe Murphy comes in. And we've got the whole lineup.
Chris, oxymorons all over the place in that one.
And this brings us to 7.1 seconds left in the period. So one last chance for Detroit to avoid a second overtime period tonight at the United Center.
Another key face-off. Brent Sutter and Jeff Shantz both out. Pat Capuzzo helping Chris Chelios get his helmet back on.
Couple of youngsters. Primo 23, Shantz 21 on this draw. Pat Capuzzo takes his time, and Detroit won it, but pulled it outside and down the ice, and we will go to another overtime here at the United Center in Game 3, and got everything done here in the first overtime period, apparently.
Tony Amani took a bit of a run at Paul Coffey as the buzzer was sounding.
And Primo and Shantz now pushing and shoving.
And now Amonte and Coffey.
And Mike Vernon is getting involved. Eddie Belfour is floating along. He was going to the dressing room.
Koharski has not called a penalty since 15:35 of the second period. 2 complete periods, plus 3:25 of another one without a penalty call. Now we get all of this scrum going on.
Chelios and Coffey, and Primo got in the middle of that.
And now we have Steve Smith getting involved.
John, are we going to see our first fight in the playoffs of all the games we have covered? I don't think so. Sutter threw a pretty good right hand in the direction of Coffey, I think it was, in the middle of all of that. Steve Smith won't quit. And Primo.
Well, you know, the coaches don't want Coffey or Chelios or Primo off the ice for any length of time.
Dick, a rubber chicken has just been thrown on the ice. Our first rubber chicken of this series.
So the count is the Octopi about 75. The Rubber Chicken won in this playoff round.
Paul Coffey is just killing out the clock, and Tony Amonte comes in. That's what you're supposed to do. Every time Paul Coffey handles the puck, you give him a little shot. Coffey gives Amonte the face wash, and everybody's involved.
Detroit penalty, number 55, Keith Primo, 2 minutes for roughing. Blackhawk penalty, number 5, Steve Smith, 2 minutes for roughing at the 20-minute mark of the first overtime.
Primo and Smith are the only ones who are going to get penalties out of that. Both get 2 minutes for roughing. Don Koharski now talking things over with Dirk Graham and Paul Coffey.
And the Hawks may take that exchange now through 80 minutes. The shots 47, Detroit 27, Chicago. We're still locked in a 3-3 tie in Game 3 in Chicago.
Now, I'm going to let you in on a secret that not many people know. Mark was supposed to come. Him and his dad and Marty were supposed to come to Boston. We were going to offer him good dough. Imagine him and Park on there. I was going to put him back on defense. Gordy, and I don't know what happened. Harry must have cheapened out or something like that. But can you imagine those 3 guys on us? That's all we needed. We're in the finals all those years. I wanted a guy with Park.
You know, spoke of Jeff Friesen there a moment ago. You ever see a sweeter skater than Mark? Same kind of thing.
No, we were watching him this morning.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
for Steve Yzerman, we got our eyes hooked on Mark. What do you think of the game?
Now another one I'm going to tell you, and Mark was there, and he'll remember this. The guy that thought it up to get him in Houston was the late Doug Harvey, the Hall of Famer Doug Harvey. He thought it up, and he said, let's go, let's bring Gordy, and they'll come. And we lost them on account of Doug Harvey.
Well, you know, Scotty Bowman, for a 7th and deciding game in his first or second year, or maybe it was his 3rd year in St. Louis, 7th and deciding game against Minnesota, I believe, dressed Doug Harvey. He called Doug and said, I need you for this important game, and they won it 3-1. So there.
What a guy, Doug Harvey, boy, I'll tell you. We played in the American League. He was by far better than anybody in the American League, and he was 42 years old. Anyhow,
how did he skate?
No, he skated. He ran on his skates. He ran on his skates like that. Quarterback. All right. Now, you notice Chelios, You'd wonder he's played 400 minutes tonight. You notice he's up in there. You notice Coffey's up in there. Diddick's up in there. That's what's going to happen. They jump in because the forwards are a little tired right now, and they're not quite as sharp, and the guys get in there, and you got to watch those guys come in, as Chelios did against Vancouver. Remember that?
Yes, well, at Philadelphia in the last series, all three came from Desjardins, Dykos, and also Haller scored.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, defensemen have been a big part of it throughout the playoffs. I'm making a prediction right now. The way Coffey's going, he's going to be the playoffs MVP. He said that to Edmonton ages ago. Anyway.
You know how near at the end, Koharski at the end, he brought Coffey over and Graham over. He says, now look, I've been pretty good with you guys. I've let you away with it. Next guy that takes a shot at somebody or embarrasses me is going. So I'll tell you, if somebody fools around, could be a penalty in the overtime.
The Wings lead the series 2-0. The Hawks have to have it. Don Koharski will call them to center ice when we come back on Molson Hockey Night in Canada and coverage of Game 3 of the Western Conference Final on CBC Television in just a moment.
Center, a full house tonight, and they are into the 5th period here. Getting ready for it, and there is Sergei Fedorov, who arrived on the bench with about 3 minutes to go in the first overtime period. Didn't see the ice, however, but he's warming up right now.
Well, it was a long time ago. Denny Savard opened the scoring on the power play. Keith Primo got it back for Detroit. The second period, Bernie Nichols ended his slump, gave Chicago their second lead, but Stu Grimson, a one-shift goal for Grimson to tie it. Coffey with a two-man advantage made it 3-2, but Jeff Chance in the third period forced the overtime, and in that overtime session, 16-8 shots on goal in favor of Detroit, 47-27. So far, the crowd making noise again, trying to urge the home side on to a win that would get them right back in this series. And Fedorov will start. Shoot in, handled by Belfort. Chelios checked to Brown's side of the net. Brown tripped up by Gary Suter. 4-on-4 with the penalties to start this overtime, and boy, Tony Amonte cleared that in the corner through the goal mouth, and Sir Belfort a little anxious about that. Here's Amonte, who was one of the best players in the first overtime period. Gary Suter wheeling at center ice, and Draper all over him. Nicholas Lidstrom, that's off the stick of Airy to Chris Chelios, who we're told is around 46 minutes of playing time already tonight. Fedosov being watched, now gets it to Lidstrom. Here's Lidstrom over the line, fires, and stop.
That's not the flex, John, you think, as he let it go?
Chris Chelios stuck his stick out, but the way Ed Belfort handled it, I don't think it was deflected by Chelios. Lidstrom backs them up. It's a 3-on-2. Chelios gets the stick out, clean. Belfort well out to cut it down, and one of the few pucks that Ed Belfort caught tonight. Out goes the left hand. Eddie Belfort doesn't catch many pucks. Most of them are off the logo, off the chest. He collapses around the puck. That time he had the left hand out to make the save.
Boy, Lidstrom's been a real offensive boost for Detroit in these playoffs. Points in 10 of 12 games. Here's a shot from the point that doesn't get through. And now Airy in behind the net. Belfort leaves it for Weinrich. 45 seconds left in the coincidental minors. To Steve Smith and Keith Primo. At the end of the first overtime period, Weinrich. Cross ice pass. Jeff Chance is on the move. Past one man, past another. Now gives it to Craven at the side of the net, and it went off his stick. Craven might have had a chance to turn that one into a goal for Chicago if he'd gotten control. Draper now on the move. He's checked, and Craven turns back. Working against Rouse. Murray Craven fires, and Rouse blocks that. Now Chris Draper. Outlets. Fedosov lost it. Lost his helmet in the process. It comes across this near side. Rouse giving chase against Suter. And now the penalized players have returned to the ice. Smith and Primo. Chris Chelios is on the move. Left wing pass for Patrick Poulin. He sends it in behind Vernon. Dropped around the boards and past Chelios. Well, the Red Wings had reached over to fish out the helmet beside Chelios, icing the call. This is the longest game of the Stanley Cup playoffs this year.
Now we take a look at the overtime. 25 seconds. Philadelphia beating the Rangers the shortest and the longest before tonight was the 21 minutes and 54 seconds when San Jose eliminated the Flames in Game 7 of their series. Chris, you do the mathematics here. I think maybe it's gone a little longer than this right now, so this is the longest. And about an hour ago, this is how it was all tied up after the Red Wings had the 3-2 lead.
Jeff Shantz made the good knockdown to start that play, coming off the bench, and then he bangs it by Mike Vernon.
Nichols on the ice, along with Daze, the rookie, and the veteran Dirk Graham. A spot for Daze if he would score his first Stanley Cup playoff goal. Crimson did it earlier tonight for Detroit. And Dirk Graham sending it down the ice, and this is going to be icing against Chicago.
Just a P.S. on the Mark Howe story. Fans may be saying, well, what's so strange about a guy yelling Dad when you're playing hockey with your father? But the boys never called Gordy Dad around the team. That was always Gordy. They had an arrangement like that. Harry was telling me he'd never heard him called Dad by either Marty or Mark until that very moment. I was in Quebec City, actually. They were playing the Nordiques.
We used to have a bunch of nicknames for Gordy.
Oh, yeah?
Gramps.
Yeah.
The usual hockey player stuff.
Bernie Nichols wins the draw against Primo. Now up the boards, Craven couldn't find it. Lidstrom keeps it alive for Detroit. And now they bank it past Lidstrom and down the ice. Vernon plays it ahead. Ray Shepard to Primo. He got caught coming back in his own zone. Lost control. Dirk Graham behind the net. There's Bernie Nichols. Now Murray Craven takes over in the corner. Craven lost it, but it's centered right to Vernon, and he'll hold on. Nichols was in the neighborhood and actually had outfought Keith Primo for position.
Mike Vernon came out to play that puck. It would have been an icing, and the turnover created. Graham tries to slide it to Nichols, but he gets it too close to the goal line. Nichols goes out and makes the... Mike Vernon covers up, and Nichols had no chance to get around Vernon to make the play on that pass from Dirk Graham.
The attendance tonight, 22,709. What was it that the seventh game, Chris, Toronto and Chicago was supposedly the all-time high playoff attendance mark in the NHL. So I don't know if this is the same or more or what. But it's a lot of people.
I don't recall, but it sounds like it's a new record here. Chicago wins the draw. Here's Weinrich shooting. That hits somebody in front. Burr can't clear it. Chelios at the far point. And his shot off a skate to the corner. Tony Amonte there. Roenick in the corner. Bob Rouse fishing for it. Amonte trying to work it past Rouse. Now it's centered. Here's Murphy, the shot. Rebound to the point. Eric Weinrich. Back in over the stick of Roenick. Fetisov is there. And out on the right wing, Brown gets it by Weinrich to center. Cleared right back in, and the Hawks will make a change with 4 minutes now gone in the second overtime period. Brent Sutter has his man tied up. Daze belted into the Chicago bench. Weinrich on the near side has some room. He dumps it in. And Mike Ramsey around the boards. Hustling after it's McCarty, but it's slapped back by Steve Smith. Brent Sutter. Diddick. And he sends it in. Chance to forecheck. Jeff Chance against Konstantinov. Daze was spun around. And Darren McCarty starts back. He's checked at center, but Draper follows up and gets it into Chicago territory. Gerald Diddick passing across ice to Smith. Gets to the red line and clears it in. Shepard around the boards. Draper lost control of it. It's Chelios. Knuckleball didn't get by the sprawling Konstantinov. Smith shoots it back in off McCarty. Smith heads to the Chicago bench. That gives McCarty a little room. And here's Coffey. His shot off Gary Suter. Keith Primo keeps it alive. And now Chelios bats it away, and Denny Savard took a swing at it out to center. Nicholas Lidstrom clears it back in. We're into a pretty cautious no-chance mode. Here's a chance for Shepard. Chelios goes down, and Belfour will cover.
Long, hard shoot-ins by both teams. It was the Chicago Blackhawks who were forcing the play, and Detroit on the last shift had a couple of good shoot-ins and created some chances. The shot, Belfour gets it with his blocker. Chris Chelios comes back, fans on it, but kicks it right to his goaltender.
Eric Daze gets clipped by a high stick, and he left the ice. Right there.
Mike Ramsey reached out, grabbed him with the left hand, but the stick came across. Sergei Fedorov played a shift here in the second overtime, and now is being attended to on the bench again.
And it's Primo and Bernie Nichols. Nichols wins it. Boy, the defensive centers have done the job on faceoffs in this overtime. Cummins with a rare shift. He's out there with Patrick Poulin and Nichols. And Steve Smith. It's Cummins with the pass, slides into the Detroit zone. There's Cummins after it. Nichols parked in front. It's Patrick Poulin now. Back in behind the net. Bernie Nichols almost puts it in. Just missing from the side of the net. That's the best chance of this second overtime period, and Patrick Poulin looking to create another. Knocks down Cicerelli. Nichols battling against Rouse. On the far side, Gerald Diddick's moved up against Ray Shepard. Nichols centering it, deflected, Irvin down, and cleared by Detroit. Couple of chances created there by Bernie Nichols with Patrick Poulin and Jim Cummins, and now Roenick's over the boards. Here's JR to the line. Stopped right there, Mike Ramsey. Clears it ahead, Tim Taylor clears it in. On this near side, Doug Brown. Behind the net, swept away by Chelios, and Roenick picks it up. High in the air, Ramsey at center for Detroit. Left down by Amati. Tony Amati past Kozlov. Gary Suter jumping up and takes the pass. Here's Suter, just missed a check from Ramsey, and now it's sent down the ice. Brown just failed to catch up with it. 7.5 minutes gone in this second overtime period. Joe Murphy was cruising around. Murphy took the shot and gets the offside call.
Well, 22,000 people, John, pretty quiet here in this overtime. Sort of just hanging on. They would have not have been quiet had Bernie Nichols been able to cash in on a couple of chances that he had fairly close in.
Good forechecking by Patrick Poulin created a chance. Joe Murphy goes over to the bench. I see Bernie Nichols talking to Patrick Poulin on the bench about his wraparound try. Tried to pull it out and tuck it in quickly and lost control. Pass out in front. This one, Nichols doesn't gets it out to Poulin, and Poulin's shot, not much on it. Mike Vernon, the easy save.
Here's Gary Suter losing it. Chris Draper keeps it in, flips it in the corner. McCarty behind the net, trying to center it, and the net knocked off the peg.
Chris Chelios out there, he's had a couple of shots toward the net in overtime, maybe more than a couple, and every time he takes one, he's bidding to become the first man in 44 years to score 3 game-winning overtime goals in the same year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And Stevie Yzerman up top, as far from where we are located, looking on.
And looking at his watch.
So who was the last to get 3 in the same year?
Yes, who was 44 years ago?
The fellow that scored the odd goal once in a while, named Maurice Richard. 2 against Detroit, 1 against Toronto.
Detroit wins it face-off. He took a funny hop off the glass, and Belfour coolly out to help his defenseman. Craven trying to get it out, does to center. Over 8 minutes gone in this second overtime period. And the captain, Dirk Graham, sends it deep. Chelios is going to hustle after it. Graham at the point took the shot, and Chelios at the side of the net almost redirected it. And now Coffey will go on an offensive foray. Here's Coffey to the line with McCarty walking in, and the backhand flipped high. Steve Smith off the boards, and unable to keep it in. Rouse at the point. Coffey gloves it down. Up for McCarty, broken up, and a near break for Nichols. Gerald Diddick's on the move. Daze hopping up. Daze just steered it into the corner. Fetisov there, watched by Daze. Around the board, comes to the point. There's Diddick. His shot. Off a leg, and Detroit starts back. Ray Shepard with Sean Burr, the long shot. Blocker stop. Diddick lost it behind the net. Burr trying to center it, and Daze has it. The Hawks break out. Daze handed it to Fetisov. Looked like a promising break for Chicago, but now Konstantinov moves up. He shot scores! Konstantinov! As Belfour whiffs on it, and Detroit wins it!
On their 51st shot on goal.
The happy coach looks on. A wrist shot from just inside the blue line. That looks like a goal that Ken Reggett let in against Claude Lemieux, and Belfour shows his disgust. And they won't talk about all the great saves Ed Belfour made in the first overtime. They'll all be talking about the long wrist shot that floated through the 14 hole between his blocker arm and the body. Turnover in the neutral zone, not much attacking by either team. Konstantinov comes up, picks up the puck over the red line, one step over the blue line, the wrist shot. Belfour was trying to push that puck and ended up getting it on the inside of his blocker. Konstantinov comes over, everybody lets Ed Belfour see it. He's trying to push it to the corner. He overplayed it. Underneath
And in. Konstantinov's first ever Stanley Cup playoff goal, and one of the most heartbreaking ever allowed by Ed Belfour.
He's trying to push that puck to the corner. He's trying to control the rebound, overplayed it, and under his arm and in.
Konstantinov from Fetisov. 89 minutes and 25 seconds into the game. Konstantinov wins it for Detroit, and the Wings take a 3-0 stranglehold in the series. Well, it was worth the wait for Stevie Yzerman.
Konstantinov is just shooting this in, trying to create some offense. It's a wrist shot from well out. And Harry Neal said you could read Bettman's name on that puck. You could read Bettman's name on that shot as it went by Ed Belfour.
Strange end to quite a battle here in Chicago.
All those great battlefield paintings you see look like that. There's Scotty Bowman and the Red Wings celebrating a dramatic 4-3 OT victory. Glad Konstantinov gets the winner. Scotty, what did you think of that one?
Well, I thought in the second overtime, Chicago was something turned the game around because we were struggling until we got that goal. It was a tough play for Eddie Belfour, but you know he must have been so tired because that was one of the best goaltending displays I've seen against our team this year.
And Mike Vernon won might have been the breakaway when Murphy stepped out of the box. Could have been a turning point, although they got even after that.
That's right. I mean, you need goaltending some of the time. They needed a little more than us. I thought in the first overtime we were going to be denied the way he was playing. We had a couple of real good chances, but it was just a tough hockey game for both teams. I mean, there wasn't much left. I know we were down a couple of men in the second overtime, and we tried to let Sergei look at it, but he couldn't go.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There are the Molson 3 stars. We'll get you some word on Sergei Fedorov. How is Sergei? Is Scotty okay? Okay. Klein looks for the next game. There are the 3 stars you see, and there's a warrior who may return as well, Stevie Yzerman. So tomorrow night, the tradition continues at the Byrne Arena in the Meadowlands. That's the story from here in Chicago for all of us. Thanks for watching, and good night.